Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to the 2026 episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. I'm, of course, your host, Mr. K. Asante, TKO Asante on the Discords and on the X and on the Blue Sky and all the places we communicate. And, of course, I am joined for this 2026 first episode by my brother from another mother, the man who looks like he is still in Antarctica, but we ain't going to hold that against him. Mr. Everborn Saga, good morning, sir. How you doing?
Happy New Year, all. This is our first show back. Feels a little good. I know we took a little 2-week break, but we are here and we got a very special guest. So it's not even about me.
See, and you know this guest is special because Mr. Everborn Saga he cut his time short. He's been glazing this game for months now, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, once
I even came
guest,
to the show on time. I showed up on time for once.
Amazing. Huh? Now, of course, if you don't know what we are talking about, let's start at the beginning. We met this man, what was this, early last year at PAX East. Myself and Mr. Everborn Saga had the wonderful privilege of being able to go to PAX East. We don't often get the opportunity to go as a team, so it was really cool to go there. And of course, Mr. Everborn Saga himself, being a developer, walked past a gentleman holding quite the interesting Buster Sword. What did it turn out to be? It turned out to be our next guest, who is the sole developer of a game we've been talking about for some time now. The game, of course, is Gigasword. Jack Breen joins us. Jack, welcome, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I think you remember, right? You remember when we happened across your booth at PAX East, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was 2025. It was early May, I think, right, when that was going on. So yeah, that was an awesome.
So long ago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, my 2025 for me was categorized by like everything before PAX was all about PAX for me, and then everything after PAX was just like this blur of finishing the game. But no, that was an awesome time.
How was your PAX experience? Because I'm thinking about tabling there soon when we have stuff to show.
Oh, I mean, it was awesome. There for all 4 days. My publisher, Acupara, they helped me put the whole booth together. I mean, they having the publisher experience at PAX was really like a dream come true because it just felt so real and so professional. But no, I mean, I was, you hear developers talk about like, oh, it's by the second or third day you're going to be exhausted and just want to go home or whatever. But I was just having such a good time. I would have done it for 7 days if I had to.
Yeah, I just your game was the one that stood out the most. Like when we went, because we did maybe 10 interviews and then looked at a bunch of games. And it's not easy because, and you can see some of the gameplay here, and I can't wait to hear what the journey was like. But I always say you can't throw a rock without hitting a Metroidvania these days. So it's very difficult to stand out, and like the gimmick of Gigasword, and I say gimmick in the best way possible, right? Of carrying the sword and the risk versus reward of it, and using it as a key, as an attack vector, as a albatross, all in one, is a real hook that I haven't seen in any of the modern Metroidvanias. And what you did something with the level design to where every room there's something new for you to do. And I was just really like fascinated by the level design. But I do want to ask, just for the independent devs out there, how did you, let's start with publishing. How did you meet Acapora Games? How did they come to you? Did you go to them? What is it like for an indie dev trying to find a publisher, and what are the benefits or things you do differently, if you can say, because I know public. Anyway, what's it like working with a publisher? And how do you make it happen?
So I was on the hunt for a publisher for years. Actually, I So I really got serious about Gigasword in early 2020, and then I started looking for a publisher at some point in 2021, and I actually got pretty close with a certain publisher, but then it just, they decided, this project's kind of too early for us to jump on right now, and so they just decided against it. And Gigasword was still in a very early state at that point. It still hadn't really become the game that it is now. So 2022 was when I decided to run the Kickstarter, because the whole thing was like, I needed funding to be able to work on this full time, because otherwise it wouldn't be done until like 2035 or something if I, didn't have that. So, so the Kickstarter was great, and that allowed me to work on the game full time for a while. And, but just as I hesitate to say as the scope is increasing, because the scope of the project itself, like the amount of content didn't really change from the initial concept that I had. But, I knew I wanted to get it on consoles if I could. I knew I wanted to translate it to at least a few different languages if I could. So just having a publisher was something I knew that the game, that I definitely wanted to have if I could. So I kept pitching the publishers kind of late 2022 throughout 2023, and it just kept being this thing where like I would get close in the process with a certain publisher, and then they would turn me down, and then I was pitching to like 20 to 50 different publishers at a time, and so I would like go through a round of pitches. I would go back to the game, kind of make it better. I like to describe it as like, if you've ever heard how they make katanas, where they forge it and they flatten it out and then they like bend it over again.
Many layers.
Yes, exactly. That's kind of how this game felt for me. It was like I would talk to the publishers, go back, fix everything, talk to everybody again. And usually it was different publishers, but there were a few that I would, some of the ones that I pitched to in 2021, I came back in 2024 to see if they were interested again. And sometimes I would get really nice responses. Other times I just wouldn't get anything. So, I mean, it was a gargantuan effort to nail somebody down. And I think that's just like, I was getting really good feedback. Nobody came out and told me, oh, this game just flat out isn't good enough. We don't like it. We don't want it. It was usually like, we already have a game that's similar to this right now, or our schedule's full for 2025 or whatever. Like we can't, bring on another game like this, or, whatever. So the feedback was good. It was just nothing was really lining up.
So what would you say was the most useful feedback? Because I find like the positive feedback, even if it's a negative outcome, is good because it gives you inspiration to keep going. But would you say there's any feedback that you had gotten that that sort of made you go back and improve something in the game, or something that you didn't see? Was there any feedback like that?
It's been so long now at this point. I'm sure there was. Nothing immediately comes to mind. I feel like the publishers weren't often. I didn't get a lot of emails that were giving like direct points of feedback. Like, oh, like we would sign this game if it had this or this.
Okay.
Like that. For me, it was just about the polish of it. And also I kind of realized pretty late into the process, like, so one of the most important things that I learned is that people, they don't know what you don't show them. Like I kind of had this subconscious thought that the people that I was pitching the game to would kind of fill in the blanks on things. Like, I would, because for a long time, all that existed of Gigasword was the demo, right? So like the tutorial area and the monastery, the first real area of the game. Those parts of the game had existed forever, since like 2021 or whatever. And so I had bits and pieces of the other areas and of the other mechanics and things, and I had all that stuff figured out. I had some of it built, most of it wasn't built yet. But I wasn't really including that stuff in my pitch, because I just thought like, oh, well, hopefully these people will assume that this game is going to have multiple bosses and multiple areas and
right, because they've played video games before.
Of course, right, and maybe they do assume that, but they're certainly not going to judge your pitch off of assumptions,
off of potential.
Yes, exactly. So that what changed for me was when I pitched to Akipar, and I can go back as to how I got in contact with them and everything. But when I had I think like my second call with them, which was really the one where I was kind of fully pitching the project to them, I did something with them that I had never done with any other publisher before, which was I made a PowerPoint that had like all of my favorite stuff from Gigasword in it. And I told them, I was like, hey, before I get too far into this pitch, like I have a PowerPoint that has artwork, like it goes super in depth, because that's the thing with pitching is like, there's kind of this balance between like, oh, do you make them sit there and listen to everything you've ever worked on for this project, or do you try to keep it short and sweet and just hit on the major points? And it's like, maybe it depends on the call, maybe it depends on what stage you're at with this certain publisher. But in this case, I knew like I got to show these guys everything that I have up my sleeve. Like it's just because clearly just showing people the demo content hasn't been working so far, and people need to understand like just the amount that I've put into this game if they're going to get an idea for what this thing really is. And so I showed them that PowerPoint on the call, and again, it had like all my favorite backgrounds. It really showed in depth all the different areas and the mechanics within each area, stuff about the story, like everything was in there.
I got to talk to you about the story too, but continue, because I got questions.
Once you finish this, we want to go back to the beginning, but continue.
Yeah. But anyway, so my point is just that I think that's what really made the difference for them was that was when my pitch really changed. Everything else for the other publishers was just kind of like, almost like I was being reserved, or like not self-conscious, but like kind of like guarded, like, oh, like these guys don't want to hear me drone on about all these backgrounds I've done or whatever. It's like, no, they probably do. Like if they're going to sign you and give you their money, like they want to know like what is this game. They're not going to fill in the blanks on just like I said about the different areas or bosses or mechanics or whatever. Like if you have it, you got to show it.
Well, Kay, I'll let you go because I do have a follow-up question about some of this. But my question is, what does a publisher provide an indie dev apart from the financial side of it? I have a guest. Hello, sir. Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, what does a publisher provide that aside from the funds?
So for me, it's been marketing help, localization, so porting to different languages. It's been I'm trying to blank. Yeah, just like for me with Akipara, it's been the whole package. But different developers can sign different kind of deals with their publishers. Sometimes people only need the funding. Sometimes people only need like the porting. That was the other thing for Gigasword, was the porting, because I don't have any experience working with like dev kits for consoles and things like that. One of the biggest kind of like unspoken perks to a publisher is really just the connections that they have, right? Like Akipara specifically is connected to so many streamers, so many people in the like game journalist space, right? So yeah, it's not just about like, oh, we'll make social media posts for you, like, which they do, but they just have so many friends in industry that your outreach just explodes.
Right, it's the marketing aspect. I do. This is something, just being in the creative space, from the comics that we do and the games that we have released. You could have an amazing product, right? Doesn't matter if nobody knows about it, right? Exactly. So like being able to get your hard work in front of people. All right. I've been hogging the questions. So Kay, if you have any questions,
no,
I have more.
You set it up. Absolutely, absolutely. No, we're heading down the right path here. I appreciate the lines of questions you've already posed. I want to go back a little further. I while playing this game, and I suspected as much because a long time ago, I also played with it a little bit. I did notice that you used Game Maker Studio to make this game. At least that was part of the research of the game. I wanted to ask what your experience was when you first took this project on. Was this something you worked on other projects before? Was this your first time going, okay, I'm going to make something and I'm using, like, how did you approach it from an actual logistical perspective?
So it's kind of a funny story. When I was in high school, we had an elective at my high school that was like a game design class, and it was very, kind of bare bones. I was surprised that the school even offered it because we weren't like a tech school or anything like that. But it was this intro to game design class where Game Maker is what the teacher was using, and this was back when I was a freshman or sophomore. So and I've wanted to make video games forever. It's what I always wanted to do. So that elective was an easy choice for me. Growing up, in terms of the actual, mechanics of, in terms of like the software and stuff, like the literal know-how, I had no knowledge whatsoever of how it actually worked. So Game Maker was just the first software I ever used. And then by the time I was like a senior, I was preparing to go to college for game development, but I was like, I kind of just want to start making something now. I don't want to wait until I'm, I just wanted to start. So I went back to Game Maker because I was, familiar with it from the years before, and that's just what I'm stuck with all this time. Like, I have a little bit of experience with Unity. It never really clicked with me as much as Game Maker did. I mean, I haven't really spent nearly as much time with it. But no, that Game Maker is just what I've always been using. And ever since, like I said, ever since like junior or senior year of high school, I've always been working on at least something. And even back then with my like first game, my goal was always like, it was as ambitious as Gigasword has been, really.
Well, tell us more about this first game. Hold on.
Yeah.
I was always trying to make like a Zelda style game. So the first thing I ever tried to make was basically like a top down, like Link to the Past style thing, where you the premise was, it was kind of goofy. Like, the premise was that you played as a Viking and he got banished from his like tribe because his beard was longer than like the chieftains, and like you're not like allowed to do that. So he gets banished to this island, and then it turns out this island is like full of all these ruins and things, and like the only way off of it is to like kill the demons that are there. And it was like just way too ambitious for my skill level. Like, I started making like, I made the main character and I made some enemies and stuff, and I designed a whole bunch of dungeons. And well, what's funny is that I wrote music for that game, and I wrote music for like the other two games that came out. Like, there's music in Gigasword like from those projects. I think the oldest song in Gigasword is it's Olastasia's boss theme, and it's a song I wrote in 2015 or something, which was...
You'll need to double click on that real quick, because I'm a musician and he's a developer. We need to talk about the music, sir. Continue.
I would love to, yeah. Yeah, that boss theme is from that first project. Like, the game was going to be called Beard Quest, and yeah, I started that in like 2014.
Okay.
So yeah, I was, but just that theme stayed consistent throughout my earlier years of development. Was always trying to make something Zelda inspired. After Beard Quest, it was this other game, and I had a few projects that I worked on. I didn't really end up ever like finishing and releasing something until like my fourth or fifth project, when I finally landed on something that I could handle. I have 2 games on itch.io that are free to download. They're super small. They're not, like Gigasword at all. One's called Jawbreaker. It's basically like a 100-man brawl from Smash Bros. If it was its own arcade game. It's like you're like, they're like, it's like a stick figure fighting game, and you're on like an elevator that just keeps going up forever, and you just fight people. And then I have a game called Truck U, which is where you're a truck on a highway and you just have to drive for as long as you can without crashing. So those were like, that was the first time I ever actually like finished something, which is of course
monumental.
Yes, it's a monumental task when you're a
Mhm.
developer. You finally are able to actually export something that's functional. Um,
You know, I tell people that a lot, right? Like a lot of people get caught up on trying to make something perfect or something that is going to make a statement or change the world. And I always say, you can get there, but first you got to release something, because most people, I don't know anybody that just hits on their first thing, right? It's that concept of it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. So
Indeed.
if you release, you will get learnings and the next thing will be better, as opposed to keeping
For
things
everyone,
under wraps.
it,
Yeah.
it is funny you say this. The reason I asked Jack about this is because I too downloaded Game Maker many years ago. I've probably built maybe 2 or 3 games, never put them on itch. I'm just because it tends to be the starter engine you use and go, I just play around. I've messed around in Unreal and all this. But yeah, every time I get that idea that, oh, it's a starter engine you graduate from, then an amazing game comes out. Before Gigasword, it was Katana Blade Zero. And I'm just like, that engine just seems to be amazing and pulls out such amazing work. Really, really, really cool. I'm impressed by how people are able to take that engine and really do some magical things with it. So yeah, very, very
Yeah, I was more of an XNA guy and then moved to Unity from there, just because of the C# nature of it. I do have to ask, just quick sidebar. What have you played? Because I'm playing this right now. Blossom Tale. Have you heard of this game?
I think I have. I haven't played it, but it sounds familiar.
Okay. Yeah, I think you'd like it. I'll send you a clip of it afterwards. All right, now I gotta ask, the story of Gigasword. How did this come about? Because I got all sorts of Son of Zeus vibes. I got like there's so much in here, and you do so much with environmental storytelling. A lot of people look at this and they say it's pixel art. It's like, I don't know if it's 8 colors, but like not a high amount of colors. When you play this game and you see the architecture that's going on and you see everything that's happening there, like there's so much that went into it. There's so much history. This castle feels so lived in. How did all this come about with your main characters? What was the inspiration here, and how long did it take you to put together the story? And I know that's a lot, but I'll ask my follow-up question after that.
Yeah, I mean, the premise was always there, and in the beginning, it wasn't going to be as story-driven as it became. Ezra wasn't going to be named; he was going to just be the orphan, and the concept was still the same. It was like, there's this tower, there's this crystal. It went haywire. You need to go up and get it. Like, and the environmental storytelling would have still been there. Like the Nocturne would have still existed. It was really like, I've been writing stories my whole life, and so it's not that I didn't want to make a game that had a story. It was just I think I kind of assumed that people wouldn't care. But when I started showing Gigasword off in 2020, I noticed that they would ask me about it. They'd be like, "Oh, so who are these characters?" Like they wanted there to be lore, and they wanted to know more about what was going on. And so then I leaned into it. I was like, okay, if people want this, then I can certainly, flesh it out more. I don't know what it was that I think just in the beginning, having it be like a smaller project, like, oh, this is just going to be kind of like just a simple Metroidvania that doesn't really have much dialogue. It'll just kind of be like a cutscene at the beginning and a cutscene at the end, kind of like old NES games, right? But no, I mean, like I said, I'm a huge Zelda fan, Metroid fan. I'm a huge Soul Reaver fan from PS1.
Oh, wow. What a great reference. Yes, absolutely.
So like the dialogue, the writing from those games is fantastic, from the Legacy of Kain series.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, and I mean, what else? I mean, obviously there's a bit of Dark Souls in here too, so that plays into just like the deeper lore, world building stuff. But a majority, as the years were going on, I would think up certain lines of dialogue and like make notes and stuff and write them down. So I had certain cutscenes that were written throughout 2023 and 2024, but I had to. I mean, 2025 was a marathon, and pretty much all of the dialogue in the game I sat down and wrote between like March and April or something, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
So, but no, I mean, the goal was just to, I mean, I love fantasy storytelling. So there was, of course, the love for just creating this interesting world with all this backstory and legends and stuff like that. But it's really just a vessel to try to tell a story that hopefully a lot of people can relate to, about characters that feel very relatable, even though they're in this very fantastical world. It's a game that is purposefully. It's funny because like there's plenty of purposeful symbolism in Gigasword, but as I was writing it and making it, it was like there were certain levels of symbolism or metaphors that I felt like were just kind of naturally coming about. Like there are like, I mean, well, I don't know how spoiler heavy I can get in this.
I mean, I finished the game, so maybe I don't know. Maybe we gotta have an offline.
I'm about 8% of the way through with the game, so we're all
so in the beginning of the game, Ezra, he's standing on that bridge and it collapses and it falls. He falls down there, and there's a second part later in the game where he also falls down a big pit without giving away what happens, but he falls again.
This is before you get the grapple shot.
Yes, exactly. And like looking back at it thematically, him falling at that moment like makes perfect sense, but I didn't do it for that reason. I just did it like as a game designer, like, oh, like you need to get to Volmire, so like you're gonna have to fall down a pit, like, but it narratively it just like connects back. So
yeah, and in the 3-act structure, I'm like, oh, this is the all is lost moment, right? Like he's lost everything. He's got to take his learnings from what he's done. This is a true hero's journey, right? Like if you're familiar with that, the whole hero's journey, he goes through all of it and really becomes the hero, right? Like he has to leave his home. He has the Obi-Wan style figure, right? Anyway, very Obi-Wan style figure. So if you're familiar, if you don't know what the hero's journey is from Robert Campbell, or Joseph Campbell, sorry, just watch Star Wars, right? Like that's what it is, and you do get a lot of that here. So Ezra is kind of like Luke Skywalker. But what I think you did,
please finish up.
No, what I think you did with the story that was so fascinating to me is that you have this villain, and I don't hate his motivations. Obviously, he's playing with things that are bigger than he can understand and is corrupted. I don't think I'm spoiling anything. Every villain gets corrupted or whatever. But like, I understand why he did what he did at the outset of the game, and I understand why Ezra is doing what he's doing, right? So it feels like everyone's properly motivated, and even though there's a clear bad guy, I get him. You know what I mean? And I think that's it's not a mustache twirling villain, at least not at the outset.
Yeah, it speaks to good writing.
No, thank you guys. Yeah, and that was certainly the goal, was like you can, sympathize with the humans and what they're doing. And yeah, again, it goes back to that like relatability, right? Like because these are the kinds of situations that we see in the real world where it's like you have this, this civilization of people who are struggling, and they're just like, everything's falling apart, and they're just getting more and more desperate. And it's like this kind of this like prelude to chaos that you're seeing, where like in the past they tried to get along with the Nocturne, and then things just got kind of shaky, and then it's just like all out war because they're tired. Even if there are people within the humans that don't think it's right, it's like they just feel backed into a corner, and they're just, and so yeah, you can kind of understand, like, when you see the state of Thornheart, and they talk about how everybody's starving and poor and whatever, it's like you can understand why they feel like they don't have any other option. And then from the Nocturne point of view, it's like, once you understand what Gnosis is, it's like, well, of course you don't want these people to have this thing because it's just going to end in disaster.
Yeah. And, giving people a villain, right? Because sometimes when people are struggling, all you have to do is give them a villain, and then they'll go along with things that they otherwise wouldn't.
Exactly. Yeah. If people have somewhere to point the finger, then they latch onto that because it's so much more mentally. That's absolutely a thing that happens in real life, is like because so often in life everything is wrong, but you don't really have anyone to blame. A lot of us just blame ourselves because it's like, I can't really figure out who messed my life up, so I guess it must have been me. But then, like, if you get somebody that you can say, like, okay, this person definitively is screwing my life up, at least to some extent, and I can prove it, and there's no arguing against it. That's such a freeing thing to, like, finally have somewhere to direct your emotion. People absolutely latch onto that.
Yeah.
So, one thing, everyone.
Go ahead.
I need to let the public know. While we're having this conversation, we're eventually going to ask you to have some questions if you have for Jack, and we have 4 codes for Gigasword to give away on any platform of your choice. So, and more often than not, it'll probably be either your Xbox or your PlayStation or your Steam or whatnot. You tell us where it is, and we'll logistically help you get access to that code. But 4 best questions get 4 codes for Gigasword. So there's that. So keep that in your hat, folks, in the chat as we're continuing the proceedings. So we'll keep an eye out. Everyone, if you see something interesting that you want to present, please make note of that, and we will gift the gentleman or the person.
Yes, if you want the game, you got to ask a good question.
Good. Yes.
All right.
Ask a good question. Yes.
Right.
One question that I want to ask is.
You're not included, K-Sante. You can't get a code.
Okay. I already have the game. But one thing I want to ask is this. Like, as I can understand it, the pixel art created by you, the music written by you, the story written by you, and the actual development time all done by you. Before you even spoke to a publisher, how many years into this project were you?
I started prototyping it in mid 2019, and then so I mean, it was a 7-year project. The publisher search, like I said, began like probably late 2021, and that was kind of like on and off, right? Like, I pitched to a bunch of people. Then it was all about the Kickstarter, which the Kickstarter was February of 2022. So in like the 4 months leading up to the campaign, it was just all preparation for the campaign. In the 4 months after the campaign, it was all mailing out the rewards and t-shirts and things like that. So there were definitely some deviations from development. 2024, I was actually working a full-time job to just, obviously stay afloat while I was searching for a publisher. So I really didn't get to do a lot of development for the first half of 2024, really for most of it until September, because I signed on with Equipar in August of 24. So development was a bit on and off. There were definitely some years that were much more productive than others, but no, I mean, the project from start to finish was 2019 to November.
One last follow-up, and I'll let you jump in, everyone. So I understand, we talked about Game Maker and how you got into the logistics of game development itself. How did you do that with the music? As a person who has spent my life, I learned music, went to music for school, and all the stuff you made was excellent. How the heck did you do that?
Thank you so much. I mean, I've been composing for a long time, ever since I was a kid. as a kid, we had like a Casio keyboard in the house, and I just
Mm.
started playing on that and just kind of learned how to. I started just playing video game music, you know, and this was back when I was
Yeah.
like 7, 8 years old, whatever. But it's funny. There was I don't know if you guys will be familiar with this game, but on the DS, a game called WarioWare DIY.
Oh yeah, of course. Of
So
course.
that had its own like music maker in it, which
Mhm.
I've never played Mario Paint, but I've heard it's like the same thing as Mario Paint.
Same idea. Yeah.
Yeah, you just like click and drag notes.
Built-in sequencer, all
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
choose your instruments and stuff. So the first thing I ever really, I mean, I was like kind of writing songs on the piano. It wasn't really, but obviously those weren't like fully fleshed out, you know, composed pieces. It was just I would come up with melodies and stuff. But WarioWare DIY was the first time I was actually like making, you know, real songs that were all put together. And I remember showing my brother, and he was like, "This is, you know, really, really good. Like, how did you like figure this out?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just did it." And you know, at that point, I was, I don't know, 12 or 13 or something. So I've been, you know, after that, then I moved on to just other softwares and things. The music for Gigasword is made in FamiTracker, which is
Okay.
the same software that they used for the music in Shovel Knight, which is how I found out about FamiTracker, because I'm a ginormous Shovel Knight fan. So I've been working in FamiTracker since high school, so I've gotten pretty comfortable with that software. And then yeah, like I said, there are songs in Gigasword that are from all different projects. Like most of them were written for Gigasword, and most of them have been written within the last 5 years. But there are a couple of standouts that are from older projects from 2015 or 2017 or whatever. But no, I love making music. It's easily one of my favorite parts of development, and it's definitely one of the parts that that I struggled with the least. You know, like programming is tough for me because I've been an artist and a musician my whole life, so those things are easier. So the programmatic side of this was definitely the point for me. But no,
so no assistance, no, you know, we just outsource a little piece. The whole thing, like, wow.
Yeah, no, the whole thing.
That's impressive, man. That's very impressive. All
So
right.
this is a little fun question, and the audience questions are piling up. So I think we should move to those soon.
Let's do that. Yeah,
When first looking at this game, I said to Kay, this is very reminiscent of sort of NES era, late NES or SNES era, like late 8-bit, early 16-bit. Which one would Jack Breen say that this is more inspired by, NES era or the 16-bit SNES Sega Genesis era?
I mean, the art style is definitely more Super Nintendo, but I feel like a lot of my design philosophy has come more so from NES era games. You know, I tried to take the same approach that the Shovel Knight developers took, which was take these, you know, older, you know, 80s to early 90s games that we all know and love, and try to extract out the, you know, the aspects of design that still hold up, and try to not include any of the jank and, you know, all that stuff that we've, you know, outgrown as the medium of games has evolved. So yeah, definitely kind of like the sort of you know, there's not a lot of hand holding in Gigasword. That was by design, because that's, you know, that's how I wanted it to feel. I wanted it to feel like,
oh man,
like an
you're
old
playing it kicks your
classic
butt. You got to take a step, go away, go touch some grass, and come back, because sometimes that game.
Kay Asante commiserated about that a lot. Like, you could be in a room and you don't know where to go, and you could rack your brains for like 3 hours, put the game down, and then you come back to it the next day, and magically you just went someplace that you didn't check before, and you get it.
For sure, yeah. And I love games like that. Like the old PS1 Tomb Raider games are the same way. It's like, I want a Gigasword to feel like that, where it's just like, number one, you have to really earn your way to beat the game. And that's not to say that I wanted it to be super difficult, because that's not what I had in mind, but just in the sense that, like, it is a game meant for people that love exploring and that love puzzle solving.
And
so
there's no difficulty setting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
So I wanted it to be like, you know, yeah, there's plenty of action and stuff like that, and there's enough direction. I hope that people won't get too lost, but at the same time, there's going to be a lot of moments where you just kind of have to stand in a room and just kind of like it's meant to be a slower paced Metroidvania for sure. It's like sometimes you gotta just stand around and just try to like study the room that you're in and just kind of figure out what you need to do.
I need to thank you personally. Now, this didn't launch in the game, but you did a major update to add fast travel.
I did, yeah.
I appreciate you for this.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, I hate you because you did it right after I beat the game. So, like, I don't get to benefit from it, but I'm happy for everyone else.
Yeah, that was something I had designed, and just the end of development was just such a rush to the finish. I knew I would have to save it until after, but yeah, just because the last 2 months were so focused on like bug fixing and testing and stuff like that, I just was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to wait until post release to actually patch this in. But yeah,
it was literally the day after I beat the game.
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
It was so funny. Now
I would have gotten it earlier if I could have.
I do have another question. I know the feeling of finally shipping and kind of taking that moment for yourself, right? And I know obviously there's stuff like this that you got to do. You got to market. You got to get the word out. Because I don't care how many. I don't know what the sales are of your game, but not enough people know about this. If they did, I think this would be another cult classic. That's just my opinion. But what is next for Jack Breen?
I am going to continue to patch and update the game throughout the beginning of this year. I've been I haven't really like come forward and said exactly what's going to be included in the update, but I am so one of the Kickstarter rewards was that certain backers got to submit boss designs. So I have a Kickstarter backer who has designed their own boss, and I'm adding that boss to the game as a secret optional boss. I haven't shown the concept art yet, but I'm like halfway through the art assets and the sprites for this boss. This update will also include the feature of placing pins on the map screen. Somebody else also came up with the idea for secrets to have their own icons on the map. So like when you find a scroll, to just put a little scroll icon in the room that you found it in so that you can remember where you found half the stuff. So I do want to add that. So really it'll be major changes to the map screen, quality of life changes, whatever other bugs are still present, I'll try to tackle. Obviously there seems to just be an endless amount, which is the case for, I'm sure, every video game. But I've tried to continue to fix as much of that stuff as I can tackle. And then that new boss fight will be there. Once that stuff is done, I'll be on to the next project, which I have mostly planned out, but I still obviously have a lot of conceptual work to do on that. I can say for sure it won't be, unless something goes terribly wrong, it won't be another 7-year project. I want to
all right.
Something.
I have one request in terms of the update. If you can, because I would do another playthrough of this game, please do a button remap.
Yeah.
How
would you change the controls?
Well, I wouldn't. Well, and I would change it like if there's a way to kind of for the user to manually map it. But I am a press B to dodge player. That's just how my muscle memory works. So I find myself, because you're supposed to press LB, but I find myself pressing the face button, the B button on the Xbox controller when I wanted to dodge a lot. So if I could remap that, I would. But just like mapping in general. So a lot of games will allow you to say, hey, this is my current attack button. I'd like it to be this one, and then whatever. I don't know how difficult that is, just because I don't know the way like Game Maker works, but because I've played with Game Maker. As I said, I'm more of a Unity XNA guy, or mono game these days, because XNA doesn't really exist anymore. But I don't know how the button assignment works in Game Maker, so that might be a taller ask that I'm requesting. But if you got a backlog, that's because my first thing was fast travel, and you did that. Second thing, button remapping. All right.
I see what's going on, Everborn Saga. You brought this gentleman here just to get your laundry list in his hands. I understand what you're doing right now.
Absolutely. Listen, I did. Okay. At the end of the game, you kind of hint that the world is bigger than initially.
Hey, now, no spoilers, sir.
No spoilers. No spoilers. Just a bigger world. That next project, would it happen to be Gigasword 2, or is it something completely different? Or is it your Zelda style game? If you could talk about it.
Yeah, I
won't answer anything that you're not ready to.
I definitely want to tell more stories in this world, not only with Ezra, but just like across the different, jump forward 100 years, jump back 100 years, do stuff like that. I would love to keep the world, like just the story of Gnosis itself is something that I have a lot of different ideas for. And yeah, I definitely think that there's more that can be told with Ezra's story specifically. I don't think that the sequel will be the next thing I work on, but yeah, I know that I'll end up returning to this at some point.
That is fantastic to hear. Now, I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Dry Rub. He's given away at least 2 or 3 codes
already in the chat.
Yes. This is on top of the 4 that we're giving away. He's just dropping the codes in the chat.
So Everborn, do me a favor, sir. I've highlighted a bunch of this, about 16 or so. I've highlighted a bunch of really interesting questions. How about you dig through a couple of those, and we will ask Jack what our viewers want to know about the game.
Yeah. So Jack, this is gonna be a little bit of rapid fire because there's 16 of them. So if you like one, you spend longer on it. If not, one word answer, whatever. All right. So first one comes from the one and only Soil Tech. There's a few questions from Soil Tech. He's trying to win a code. The first one from Soil Tech 2015. By the way, Soil Tech is one of the bigger contributors to our Discord. He's with us every day. Jack, you should join the Discord. We have a lot of fun in there. Gets a little rowdy. It is not PG-13 like this podcast, but it is. We have some great debates in there, and
I will also say, by the way, our Discord also has some interesting developers in there from time to time. Some folks you might actually be interested in chatting with. So there's that.
Yeah. One developer that you're talking to right now. Anyway, so all right, let's start this off. All right, question. Soil Tech 2015. In the sea of Metroidvanias, how does Gigasword distinguish itself? I could answer that one for you already, but I'll let you do that one, Jack.
Yeah, so I got to give my older brother credit for this idea. He came up with the term. Well, I don't know if any other game has done this yet. I don't know if this is an original idea, but he came up with the term Zeldavania, and I think that describes this really, really well. Because Gigasword is a Metroidvania, I suppose by definition, but it really it takes a very Zelda approach to the genre, and when I was designing the game, I was kind of looking for, obviously there were the major inspirations that I've already listed, but when it came to designing the puzzles and stuff, I didn't really have another 2D traditional Metroidvania that I could look to that had the same approach that I was taking with Gigasword. So really it was in terms of the combat and the platforming and stuff like that, you look at games like Metroid or like Blasphemous or something like that. But the level design is just it's just Zelda dungeons, and I watch a lot of Game Maker's Toolkit on YouTube where Mark Brown he breaks down dungeon designs and stuff. So that's where I've gotten a lot of my know-how in terms of developing these kinds of areas. No, I think what sets it apart is just that a lot of Metroidvanias these days are very, kind of like fluid movement. But you think of like Metroid Dread, right? Like that's kind of like the opposite of what Gigasword is, which of course I love Metroid Dread, but that is fast paced, fluid movement, action centric, whatever. Gigasword is very puzzle solving, slower paced,
methodical.
Yes, methodical, like deliberate combat, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you something about that, because Kay and I had a very interesting philosophical conversation about Metroidvania sort of game design and movement and things like that. Because I don't want to say the name of the game that he was playing, but he was playing the game and it was very beautiful, sort of very fluid movement. But he said to me, it feels a little bit too basic. Like the move set is a little too mechanical. And I said to him, I think it is because of the art style. So what they have is I don't want to say a Gigasword style, but like the sort of SNES style of gameplay and movement, where the move set is a little bit more sort of limited and less smooth as a Metroid Dread kind of thing.
They use hands-on art in
right
opposed to pixel.
So that gives the player a sense of, this is modern style art and animation, so I expect modern style skill trees, combat system, movement, versus when you go pixel art, it is the player's expectation is a little bit different, because even though this is very new, and I don't think a game like this could have been possible on those old and definitely not on NES with all the animations that you have, but the player is more accepting of an old school style of movement because you're giving them old school sort of pixel art. I don't know if you find the same.
Just a quick divergence. It definitely wouldn't have fit the NES. It's 228 megabytes, man.
Yeah.
Please answer the question.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think you make a really good point. I think when players see that older art style, that it puts them in the frame of mind of, it takes them back to those kinds of games. So it's like, oh, okay. I think just looking at Gigasword, that the people that grew up in that era are going to understand, like, oh, this is going to be the type of game where there's not much hand holding. It's probably going to be kind of difficult, So no, I totally agree. I think that the art style that a developer chooses is going to some degree be responsible for just that initial mindset that the player kind of loads in for themselves when they approach a game, for sure.
Yeah, it's also funny that you said Zeldavania, which is like, that's just catnip for me. Zelda Link to the Past specifically is the first game I beat. It also happens to be my favorite game of all time. But when we were when I'm like the conceptual phase of what we want the sort of Ariel's Adventure game to be, that's one of the Everborn games we have. We called it a Mariovania because it's not like a large map like a Metroidvania. It is individual levels like courses, but as you beat bosses and unlock power-ups, you go back and then you can access different parts of the levels, right? So I just thought it was funny. You called it a Zeldavania. We call it a Mariovania. All right, let me move on to the next question. This is another one from Soiltech 2015. We did that one already. All right. Yeah. All right. This one is from Gentlestone. If I can, there we go.
Go ahead.
All right. What's your motivation when the project stalls creatively? Like, how do you motivate yourself when you hit a wall that way?
I mean, with Gigasword, I feel like I don't know if I necessarily stalled creatively. I think the biggest hurdles that I encountered were like, oh, I'm having trouble programming something, or that I can't get this particular animation to look the way I want it to, or something like that. Conceptually, and I mean, this probably just comes from having, been designing games my whole life. Like even as a kid, I would be, you know, obviously I didn't know anything about game design, but I'd be like drawing maps of levels with like crayons and stuff as a child and whatever. So I think creatively, you know, Gigasword was I didn't have that hard of a time designing, coming up with the content that would be in the game. You know, obviously when it comes to the hard work of actually designing the rooms and the levels and the layouts and stuff like that, that is going to be more difficult. But you know, this game, it pretty much, I would say the project got serious, you know, pretty much right away. Like 2019, I kept it to myself. Nobody knew about it. 2020 was when I first, you know, started publicly showing it off. And I actually went to PAX East that year as well. I was only there on Sunday, but I rented out booth space from another studio. So I brought a really early version of Gigasword to PAX East 2020 just on Sunday, had people play it. And again, I knew that at this point it was still years away from coming out. I mean, at that point I was hoping like, oh, maybe it'll come out in like 2022. And of course that didn't end up happening. So no, I mean, but people latched onto it early, and you know, and I was going to these big events and meeting people, and so it just like I started taking it really seriously that year, and I think that when you stall creatively in the conceptual phase, you might reach a point where you're like, oh, well, is this project worth continuing with, or is it not, or whatever. But like, you know, once you're in deep with something, especially once you've run a Kickstarter campaign for something and you've been pitching the publishers, it's like at that point you're locked in. And so I've been locked in with Gigasword for years now. And anytime that I ran into any sort of obstacle with development, it was just like, well, I have to get through this. So it's not about whether or not I want to, or whether or not, you know, there 90% of the days I woke up to work on this game, I certainly wasn't like, you know, I mean, I was motivated in an existential sense of, you know, obviously finishing the project and seeing this dream through. But there are plenty of days where I had to work on the game where I was, you know, exhausted, completely spent, completely burned out. I mean, I was burned out for like the entirety of 2025 and just had to
man.
So
yeah, that's what happens when you get close.
Yeah.
All right, next one. And again, I'm just trying to do rapid fire as we can and get at least one from each of us, because a lot of people sent multiple questions. All right, this is a good one. This is from the Black John, longtime subscriber of the channel. The Black John says, I'm curious if there was any difficulty developing for a specific platform. If it was, which ones and what could it be? What was so difficult about it?
Yeah, so Akipara handled the porting process to Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. So I unfortunately don't really know anything about exactly what goes into that. I know obviously you need a dev kit, and then it's just about, you know, I assume some sort of translation process between the hardware itself. But yeah, I going off of what I've learned from them, I don't know if any particular platform is more difficult to port to than the others. And of course, with new consoles coming out every 5 or 6 years, I guess that's probably always changing to some degree. But no, I think the porting process for Gigasword was pretty straightforward. We didn't really run into any major issues. I know in some cases there have been some bugs that appeared on one platform that weren't on another. Like for instance, when Gigasword, I think this is fixed now, but when Gigasword first came out, it wasn't letting you unlock achievements on Xbox for some reason. That was something that Akipara and I worked together to try to figure out, and it ended up just being this kind of weird issue. I don't even really know why it was happening, but so as a developer, you might run into things like that, and that's one of the most exhausting things about when you initially release a game. Is that like it's not just that you're working on this project and you've got these bugs coming in and it's just like this one cohesive list of stuff that's wrong with your game. It's like it might work perfectly on your end, and it might work perfectly on Steam, and then you've got people playing on Switch, and it works perfectly there, and then you've just got these Xbox players that are like, there's something going on, and you might not really be able to even test that from your setup. So, which is of course where having a publisher is so helpful, because we've got staff on hand that have much more experience with that stuff than I do. So yeah, I don't know if there's any one platform that would be more difficult to work with than any others. I think it's just kind of game specific, you know.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things about Game Maker. When you want to port to the console platforms, you if you don't have a publisher, like, you kind of got to hire a third party company. It's not a sort of straightforward thing.
They do have
at
some
least in
components
Game
like, if I understand correctly, and I played around lightly with it, but they do have some plugins that makes that process a bit easier. Like, they actually have like a console plugin that so when you're building it in the main IDE, you're able to export it a lot easier. You know, I did port to an Xbox. My main development when I did was actually go to the Xbox One, if I recall correctly. But yeah, it does have those logistics of porting to various houses, and that's super interesting. I would imagine there was a lot of time spent like optimizing for each platform and making them work best, specifically like Switch or something like that. But, you know, it seems to play super great there too. So yeah.
All right.
Real quick about that, and I'm not sure you know this, Jack. Your game is playable on Android. Did you know this?
And like playing on a phone.
Yes. So these days there are tools that are able to translate Steam code to Android code. So literally, we're taking Steam games and playing it on a phone.
That's awesome.
Controller. So I've been playing because, you know, I'm a man with kids and running around all the time. I don't have time to sit in front of my console or Steam. I've been playing your game everywhere on my phone.
So are you using the touchscreen, or are you connecting a controller?
No, we're connecting like a controller. You connect like an MCON controller, which I recently was able to get. Or
Still
like,
haven't got mine yet, but we'll talk about that next week.
You can slide it out later. But yes, a little attachment controller, and then basically like it translates Steam games to Android code, and you're able to play it relatively smoothly. Some games work better than others. Yours, perfect. I've been playing everywhere. It's excellent. It's excellent.
That's great news. I'm glad. Yeah, that's it.
All right, so yeah, I'm going to try to be quicker about these next couple questions. I just want every individual that asked. So I'm trying to pick the best ones from each person. All right, so this one is from Eastside Vandal. He says, question, how many, oh, you got it, sorry. How many times in development did you realize you were paying homage too closely to games before you had to scrap and retool ideas?
I don't think there was anything in Gigasword that I like, you know, that I recognized like, oh no, I'm accidentally totally copying something. So I tried to keep my inspiration, you know, like, not, you know, I tried to not 100% just take stuff from the games that I was inspired by. There were, in terms of scrapping things, there were a couple of enemies that I spent like an entire month working on, and then just like didn't end up making it into the game.
Hey, Jack, there's one that I think you should have scrapped, and it's that goddamn snake thing that does the sine wave projectile at you that's impossible to dodge, while
he's just here getting his laundry list done. That's what he's doing. That's all he's here for today.
I could never dodge that projectile, man.
I mean, to be fair, I can never dodge that one either. Well, it's pretty tough.
Sorry, continue. I had to say it to you because I was so frustrated by that.
Well, this is the time where you get to give all your feedback straight to the source.
Yes. Yeah.
But no, I don't think that I ever had to like, you know, get rid of anything that I realized had like already been done, you know, somewhere else or anything like that.
All right. Yeah, I don't think with game development, like, unless it's somebody like Nintendo patenting the Pokeball thing, right? Like, it's how games work, right? You see mechanics you like, you put it together with other mechanics, and it makes something new. Like, we've all got access to whatever language we speak, but then you can put those words in that language together and write a beautiful novel. That's kind of what game making is like. All right. There's one from Django Kane. Don't worry about this one because you answered it already, but I just wanted him to know that he's heard. Does he have plans to make more games in the Gigasword universe in different or same style? What mechanics would he like to add or have missed in those games? So yeah, I think you kind of covered that one. Next one is how easy or hard is porting with Game Maker Studio? We talked about that one. Next is Alex F10. Question: after the game release, how do you process critical feedback and how much of it aligns with your own feelings and intentional decisions made during development? I think that's a good question. I don't know if you think it's a good question, but I like it.
No, that's a really good question. When it comes to accepting feedback and criticism as a developer, I think it that is probably going to be a learning process for just about everybody, right? Like I think everybody's going to probably start off pretty defensive when like the first time, like when you first start showing your work to the public, and when you first experience people, either criticizing it or if they just tear it apart. One of the first projects I ever worked on was back when Steam Greenlight existed. I was making a space shooter game, and I put it on Steam Greenlight. And this was the furthest that I'd ever got. This was 2015 or 16, and at the time it was the furthest that I'd ever got with a project. And I had every intention of actually finishing it and releasing it. So it was like I was taking that as seriously as I've taken Gigasword. It was like that was my project. That was what I was doing. It was going to be my first big game, whatever. And I put it up on Steam Greenlight, and it did not hit the Greenlight, requirement or whatever. It was at like 30% positive votes or something like that, and people just tore it to shreds. And it was like I had never experienced that before, and I was so heartbroken. I was like, why don't they like it? Like I tried as hard as I could, whatever. So, as you mature as a developer in any creative space, it's the skill that you learn is, that you need to be humble enough to be able to accept criticism and feedback, but you also need to be grounded enough in your own beliefs to be able to sort that feedback between what you think is right for what you're doing and what just shouldn't apply. Because there are plenty of times where people will give somebody feedback and it's not necessarily, they'll say like, oh, this enemy should have been green instead of red. It's like some feedback isn't like gonna actually help your game. It's just that person telling you how they would have done it if they were in charge, but they're kind of framing it as if it's like this mistake that you made that should have been different. So there's feedback like that, and then there's stuff like the fast travel in Gigasword where it's like, yeah, that should absolutely that's a feature, that's a point of feedback that I agree with and can totally see where people are coming from, and then you add it in, and then as a developer you might not realize, you might hear certain ideas and you might be like, oh, that could be cool, maybe, whatever, and then you might not understand the value of it until you add it in and play it for yourself. Kind of like having the secrets shown on the map, the thing that I'm adding for this next update. It's like, that makes perfect sense. Why didn't it occur to me during development? I don't know. I guess it just didn't occur to me. But like, as soon as somebody says it, it's like you can immediately like, and it's about how well you understand your own game, right? So it might the longer that you've been working on your project, the more fleshed out your project is, the more of a sense that you're going to get for what features would go well in your game and what won't. So as soon as that guy brought that up, like, hey, the map should show the secrets that you found, it's like, it immediately occurs to me that that's a good idea. So as you mature as a developer, it's you'll learn how to, you'll kind of build a filter, like a sorting system in your brain for not only how to deal with criticism emotionally, but also how to differentiate between what you should, the feedback that you should be listening to and the feedback that you should probably just dismiss.
Excellent. Excellent.
All right.
Last two questions.
Last two.
Yeah, last
All right.
two. And
First,
these are super chats. Yes.
First is from the one and only BT Maverick 707 with a $10 super chat. All right, for Jack, as an indie dev, what are your thoughts on key sites like CD Keys, aka Loaded, Aniba, and so on? I've heard some devs rather have their game pirated. Curious on your thoughts. Thank you.
I've never heard of those specific sites. I don't know a ton about like just the process of people pirating games and stuff. I did have a friend reach out to me like 2 weeks after Gigasword came out, and he told me that he had found Gigasword on some sort of pirate site. I forget what the site was called. And so I texted him back, and I was like, "Oh, damn! Is there like something I can do about this? Like, what should we do?" And he was like, "Yeah, I don't really know if there's anything we can do, but honestly, it's like not a bad thing, because if somebody uploaded the game to the site, then it means that it's like doing well enough that people want to see it there." So he was like, honestly, it's kind of like he kind of phrased it like it was a good thing. He was joking around. He was like, "This means you made it to the big leagues."
Yeah, you kind of made it when somebody pirates your stuff.
Yeah. Also, just for anybody listening, I don't want people to think like Loaded or CD Keys or whatever is a pirate site. The key sites are the sites where you can buy a key for the game on whatever platform, and it'll usually have a bigger discount than buying it directly from the store. But a lot of the times, if you have a publisher, a lot of the times a publisher will sell those keys in bulk to these sites to have a certain amount of sales
to drum up initial
front,
sales,
right? So then the users will go and buy it later. It seems like a lot of the times they'll get a bad name because sometimes people wonder how they came about those keys, but other times it is the game's been out for a long time, and just because of inventory and accounting, they've already purchased these at whatever price from the publisher, and then now they need to get rid of them so they can buy more keys in bulk, and so they'll sell it for super cheap. But the publisher already got paid the bulk rate that may be higher than the few cents that you're paying for the thing. It's not like but again, case by case thing, and usually if there's a publisher involved, the developer doesn't really see that. So all right, last one. This is from the legendary Yobi, one and only legendary Yobi, $20 super chat. He says, "Peace, love, and life to the chat. Welcome back, gents. Question, sir, as a dev yourself, when you hear this, it makes my blood boil. What's your personal take when you hear devs are lazy?"
I mean, I feel like I've heard that thrown around here and there. I don't know if I can think of a specific example where I've seen someone use that. Like, I mean, for you guys as developers, like, where do you find that people are making that comment most? Like, what does it usually have to do with?
So I would say that I don't really. You hear this in the online commentary from people who are mad about like performance not hitting 60 FPS, or thinking that there are tools available, but sometimes you don't know the viability of those tools. You only know what the white paper says, and in practice, what like white papers will promise the world of a tool, and then when you use it in real life and try to integrate it into your workflow, it doesn't work as well. And so it's very easy to say a dev is lazy when this is not what that's not what you're doing for a living. It's
So I would say, and you're absolutely right, everyone. Well, I feel like where I've always crystallized that thought has been it's a byproduct of how the gaming industry is. Very mysterious. They don't like peeling back the layers of the onion, right? If it's the movie business, you can go back and see the background and see how they made this, how they made that. Because folks don't really get to see that as much in the gaming business, and the decisions are kept so close to the vest, they don't have a fundamental understanding of why some of these decisions are made. And then, it goes to, they didn't feel like it or whatever. Oh, it only runs 30. It could have run 60. They're being lazy. I think it's education, possibly.
Right. We don't know what the constraints was. We don't know what the
Yeah.
team were. And I've heard this about the film industry a lot. Like you could have a bunch of hardworking, talented people down the line. They make a film project and it just doesn't come together in the end. It is not because they weren't trying hard. It's not because they're hacks. It didn't come together in the way it needed to for, one, because everything has to work and stars have to align when you're making anything. And and again, this is not to excuse whatever, but there's lazy people in everything, like some of the people that's calling devs lazy are lazy themselves, right? Like it's not it's just, I just think that is not this question was for you, Jack. I'm sorry I'm answering it, but like it is that's too surface level of a comment to me. Why are they lazy? What specifically did they not do that makes you say that? Were they not showing up to work on time? Were they doing the bare minimum? Or are you judging a project that maybe a few hundred or 1,000 people worked on? Who was lazy in that chain? Do you know? Right.
So I'm sorry. I have to take
it's something from the Mario fan. I see it.
So sorry, Jack. Everborn Saga is the biggest Sonic fan on Earth, second only to probably a big Zelda fan. So our chat and our community loves taking him to task whenever possible and slandering him as much as possible. So that's this. I'm sorry.
You can't be lazy putting out all the games and mobile games and all the other things that Sonic has done over the years. But anyway, I will keep it classy because we got company.
And that's Dry Rub, the great Dry Rub, who himself has given away so many codes over the time frame in our chat. And today, he's even given away a bunch of Gigasword codes. He asked the question, how many times did Jack beat the game? And what's his advice for new players?
This is going to blow people's minds and might even make some people angry with me. I have not I've had the time the last month to do this, but I've honestly just been so fried. I still haven't. I have not played Gigasword front to back. I've played the first half of the game. I've played from the beginning of the game up until you fight Varric. I've played all of that, which for me, since I know all the answers to everything and I can speed run it pretty fast, I think that took me like 3 hours to get there. But I have still been meaning to actually do my first official full playthrough, and honestly, I'll probably just wait until after this new update comes out so that all the content is in there and I can play what will essentially be like the definitive version of the game. But as a developer, it's like, number one, I've been playing this game for 7 years straight, so I doubt that anyone on Earth will ever play it more than I already have. And but yeah, I've just been so burned out. It's like after I have taken December to just totally try to finally, like, it didn't even feel like I was just relaxing after the grind of 2025. It was like this, after everything since the Kickstarter, whatever, it's just felt like this constant marathon. But my advice to new players would be try to activate your Zelda brain if you're a Zelda player. Like try to get in that headspace of like, that's kind of what, the way that I describe Gigasword's level design is that every area is its own Zelda dungeon, and the world of the Nestrium is all these Zelda dungeons that are now interconnected. So if you look at it that way, it should hopefully help people kind of not only find their way around, but also just approach the puzzle solving and stuff. There are going to be times when you enter a room that has puzzle elements and you might be trying to do something and you might just not be able to do that thing yet. So like if you're in a room and you just cannot figure it out, there's probably somewhere else you can go. Don't get too discouraged. That would be my advice.
Excellent. You know what? Before we move on, because we'll move on to the other topics, but let's give you a final chance for those. And by the way, I will also read off those who I think, and Mr. Everborn, you can agree or disagree with me, have won this code. We have 4 folks that I think really asked excellent questions that we'll be reaching out to and asking codes for. But before we do that, elevator pitch for those who may not have played the game. It's on platforms. Why should they play this game? I think we've made that case, but as the developer, please go ahead and do that finally for us, would you?
I think Gigasword, like what we talked about earlier, I think it takes kind of a unique approach to the Metroidvania genre. You know, if you're looking for something that's more, not only more puzzle focused, but just kind of invokes that old school vibe. Like I said, if you're a fan of the older Tomb Raider games, the older Castlevania games, obviously if you're a Metroid fan or even a Dark Souls fan, there's plenty of that DNA in this as well. I have tried to just combine all of my favorite games, all the aspects of them into this project. Yeah, I mean, this came out. You know, I'm really happy with the finished product. Like this is Gigasword has become the game that I dreamed it would be back in 2020. So yeah, for anybody that's a Zelda fan, or if you're looking for a new action adventure story driven puzzle solving 2D pixel art game to sink your teeth into, then hopefully Gigasword is the one for you.
Yeah, I'll say this. And again, I'm predisposed to like this kind of game. It has a Buster Sword. It is fantasy. It is a Metroidvania, which is my favorite genre of games. It is Zelda inspired, which is my Link to the Past, my favorite game of all time. So you can take what I say with a grain of salt, because I'm like genetically engineered to like this kind of game. But this was one of my favorite games of 2025. And I say that legitimately.
I think people believe you because we have a lot of digital ink talking about this game at this point. We have a lot of it. Yeah.
But yeah, if you haven't given this game a shot yet, I think you should seek professional help. But it's that good. Anyway, I'm giving you your flowers while you're here, sir.
Winners
made one of my favorite games. Yeah.
Winners of the codes. Lots of great questions. Thank y'all so much for always contributing. Those who won the codes this time around, I would say, are the following: Alex F10, The Great Soil Tech, BT Maverick, and the legendary Obi. Do you disagree, sir?
I do not disagree.
Did
we give? I think we might need to do a fifth for Soil Tech because he sent so many questions.
I did.
Okay.
He's in there. Yes. Y'all know where I'm at. Get at me in the DMs. I will make sure you get your code on your platform of choice. Thank y'all for contributing as you do. And yeah, thank you, Jack. I appreciate you for being here and getting us to get a little bit more knowledge on you and your game. A side question, which I think I already know the answers to my question, but you were a Nintendo kid, weren't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely, big time. Yeah. For sure.
That's right. Experiences with Genesis, any of the other platforms, Yeah.
So my older brother is 6 years older than me, so I grew up with the NES and the Sega Genesis, even though I was born in '96, so I probably would have missed those things if not for him. Yeah, those two and the PS1 were like our three consoles growing up. That's what we had until the GameCube came out, and then we got that. And so my favorite game of all time is Mega Man Legends on PS1.
Wow, good call. Nice.
But yeah, no, we had I mean Genesis. I have so many good memories with Genesis games for sure. Yeah,
very cool,
my man. You heard that, MJ Dark. Okay, so I know we are running out of time, sir. I really want to thank you for coming by. You are also, there's a rule here: once you come on the show once, it is an open door policy. If we're ever talking about something that interests you, you can hop right in. Or if you ever come back and you got when your next project's coming out, your next Kickstarter, you are always welcome, and we really appreciate you coming by. You made something special, and I will be reaching out to you in the DMs because I want to talk to you about some advice for some things we're working on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you guys both so much for not only for having me on today, but for playing the game, for all the praise that you've given it, all the kind words. It means the world to me. Like I said, this is what I've wanted to do my whole life, and 2025 now, between having the publisher and doing interviews like this and seeing people play the game on YouTube and Twitch and stuff, it just all feels so real. So it's been a really wonderful experience. Seeing you guys at PAX was awesome as well. Yeah, anytime you guys want to chat, whether it's about Gigasword or a future project or what you guys are working on, please hit me up. Don't be a stranger. And I'll hop in the Discord server as well if you guys.
Oh, awesome!
Yes, but I will forewarn you. The Discord is we have some spirited debates. I'm just warning you up front, but it's all in love and respect. But we do get a little rowdy in there.
The Gigasword Discord server is pretty much the same way, so it's all just ridiculousness 24/7. So yeah,
you have a good time in there.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, Jack Breen, everybody. First interview of the year, and I feel very good about it. We really appreciate your time, and anyone who did not win the Gigasword code today or didn't get one from Dr. Dryrub, go out and buy this game. You will not be disappointed.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Thanks to everybody in chat for sending in the questions. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon.
Thank you, Jack. See you soon.
Awesome. See you guys.
Bye, guys. And that was it.
All right.
Fantastic.
All right.
Everyone, thank you. Congratulations. So just a quick background for the public here. Everborn took it upon himself, one-man crusade to get the developer of his favorite game on. Thank you, sir. That was very awesome.
It's cool. It's cool because it's not like, like every developer we get to interview is great, but like a game that you found that you liked first, played through it first, loved it, and then you get to talk to the man behind it. It's I feel good today.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you also liked the interview here, and we're going to be doing our best to do more and more of those in interesting indie devs, small man teams, hit that like button. Maybe consider talking to folks, letting them know that we do this kind of stuff every week. If you have some interesting ideas on developers that we haven't spoken to that you say, hey, that'd be real cool to get them on the show, let us know. Them DMs is open. You can join us on the Discord. That is discord.gg/TGCP. We're always there. We're always having great non-PG-13 conversations. So, be ready to clutch your pearls sometimes. But we're here for you. We have a lot of fun. So please consider doing that. Thanks to everybody who's been in here talking that mess, talking in the great conversations, and also talking with our developer friend Jack. So thank you all for being here. But let's move on. I think shortly, there are one or two news stories here and there that maybe we can get into before it's all said and done. But there were some games that we were playing over the holiday break that I kind of want to just talk just lightly about. Everyone, I know you also played some games.
Yep.
I want to get into that. First off, I want to say I was finally able to finish the Outer Worlds 2. I had a great time playing that, so there's that. I won't go too far into it because we've already talked at length about the Outer Worlds 2, so there's that. If you haven't played it, you should be playing it. I do want to, though, talk about this game briefly and give flowers to a great gentleman in this Discord, in this chat. Now, maybe you'll say I'm being a little bit navel gazing while giving him his flowers, because I also just gave him a code because he asked a damn good question. And this is me giving flowers to the one BT Maverick. And why am I doing that? Because during the holiday season, we were just hanging out, people, as we do in the Discord, this, that, and the third. And I see a message from BT, and he's like, hey, I found an interesting game. I thought you'd like it. Gifted me a game for the holiday season. I was like, oh, that's so cool of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. What game was this? It's a game called Spindle. Everborn, I know I spoke to you about it. Have you?
I purchased it, but I had not started it yet because I was playing the game that I'm going to tell you about when you're done here. Okay. But it's in my library. It is next in queue.
We are here on this show. I think there's a theme. We call it the Graybeard Gaming. This fits so well in this show and in the themes. And we just talked about Gigasword. This is the next one that we need to find out who made this and go have a conversation because it's so.
I did my job, Kay. It's your turn.
Yeah, I know. Indeed. But yes, shout out to BT Maverick for the recommend. I'm very early on in this, but But I'm telling you, this game is fantastic. It's beautiful. You can tell whoever made it, like the dev team, like really put the time and effort in. The story is interesting. It's member berries, the game, and the gameplay is very tight. And same idea. By the way, it has the Death's Door kind of story, right? You are anointed as the next death, right? And you go and you're collecting souls. It's a kind of Death's Door, right? And it has similar Death's Door sensibilities as well, also in gameplay, but it's not exactly one-to-one. And what they have here is truly special. I really think people should try it. I haven't really gotten all the way through it, but I wanted to mention it because shout out to BT Maverick. If you haven't tried Spindle, get Spindle. Spindle's great. What have you been playing, Everborn Saga?
I have been playing a set of games called Blossom Tales, right? Now, this was during the Steam sale that I picked these up, and thanks to Infinite Umbra who put it on my radar. And so I picked it up. You can buy this game. I don't know if it's still on sale, right? But it was on sale. You could get part 1 and 2 for $10. You get 2 games, $10. The first one came out in 2017.
You'll recommend.
Yes. The second one came out in 2022. Now, when I bought it, I realized that the cover art looked reminiscent of something. And I looked at my Switch and I realized I had bought this originally in 2017 and never played it. And so if I had played it, I would have known that they basically remade Link to the Past. In mechanics, in level design, in art, all of it. You're playing as Blossom, but the style of the tone, the main enemy, everything, the dungeons, they've made Link to the Past. And if that being, again, my favorite game of all time, it really resonated with me. So I couldn't put it down. I think it took me about 12 hours to beat the whole campaign. But then now I'm in part 2. Now, part 1 is it's like a cover song, right? I'm not saying that you should mention it next to Link to the Past, but they basically made Link to the Past, right? But they didn't do anything to sort of advance the ball further, but they weren't trying to, right? So they're doing their own cover song. It's modern. It has the things you expect. But the second one now, they're beginning to add new elements that make it their own. They're adding things like fishing. They're adding new weapon and enemy types. They're adding crafting to it. And so it's now beginning in the second one to become its own thing while still honoring the roots of where it came from. And again, as I say every week, you can't throw a rock without hitting a Metroidvania these days. The top-down sort of Link to the Past style action game, call it an RPG if you want, they don't make a lot of those. So this coming out and mirroring the Link to the Past game so closely, for me, is just a sight for sore eyes. So I cannot stop playing this thing. I didn't rush through, but like I couldn't put down the first one until I finished it, and now I'm on the second one. And I like, if Link to the Past is your thing, you are absolutely going to want to check this out.
Very nice. Now, I assume I'm assuming indie creation. How's the music like? Obviously, no voice.
I mean, I'm not gonna. It's good. It's definitely good music. You kind of, when you're out in the field and things like that. It doesn't have that.
Let's just say Gigasword. This is not, because that music is.
Yeah. I'm not, but I mean, it does what it needs to. Like the music here does what it needs to.
Yeah,
Again,
okay.
It is reminiscent of the SNES Zelda.
Very nice. Okay, very nice. So you're playing 1 right now. You haven't started 2 yet.
No, I finished one. I'm on 2 already.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're on 2. So this was showing is 1. What is the difference between 1 and 2? Like, is it just more of the same goodness, or have they upped the ante in any way?
The second one feels bigger, but there's a lot more. There's a lot more abilities, weapons, and enemy types, and I'm very early into it.
Okay.
But just at the beginning of the game, you can kind of see that. So I do think they're beginning to make it their own thing, and I think that that's great.
Any other game you want to discuss, sir? There's so many games that came out during that Steam sale.
Listen, I literally bought almost 20 games. I think I bought 18 games during the sale. I have these are 2 of them, so I'm working my way through these, and then I will get to the other. I do think it is. Listen, guilty as charged. Lucius Augustus from the community tells me I have all these lofty goals of playing these AAA games that I've been looking forward to playing, like Ninja Gaiden 4, like Outer Worlds 2, 2 fantastic games, modern games that I love. And then some random 4-year-old, 6-year-old Metroidvania or 2D game comes
Soldiers
about.
Shows
that's
up.
The one,
like, hey.
Right? That's the one I end up no-lifing, and then I'm still buying the AAA games, but I end up playing these games that I get for like $3. I got it. So, you know, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm part of the problem because I'm buying these damn games, but I am not playing them.
But all right, sir. So I bought a whole bunch of games as well, like whole bunch of games. We'll get into more of that as the days and weeks.
Oh wait, sorry. I'm so sorry. I need to highlight this. You can get both the first and second Blossom Tale for $374 and $284 respectively on GG Deals right now. Do not walk, run to deals.gg because you will not find a better deal in gaming right now than those prices for these games. If you are from that era and you love that type of game.
Very nice.
Please continue.
The only other thing I will talk to y'all about is this very weird thing that I bought also on the Steam sale. Right? I'll just mention it briefly. We don't have to get too far into it. If you're a gray beard of gaming like me, you're probably watching this show because, you know, we do that gray beard stuff. But I will tell you, you need to seek out and purchase a tool on Steam called 3D Sen. 3D space SEN. Why do you need to do this? I will show you why. It was on the Steam sale. I was like, you know, they've gotten my number by just mentioning that it is an emulator, if you will. What you're looking at right now, of course, is Castlevania played through 3D Sen. Do you see why I say you need to go buy this? Everyone. It takes 2D games and turns them into 3D. And your left stick, you can literally move the angle and see the whole world in 3 dimensions. It takes the flat 2D game, and this is done with Nintendo, NES, whatever game you potentially like. And right now, what you're seeing, the footage you're seeing here is just showing it full on. The person could literally move the thumbstick to the left or right, and then you'd be seeing the character walk at you. You can see it from any angle. You can even look at it behind the scene. It's a weird piece of software that breaks your brain a little. But this can be done on Steam, on your PC, on your handheld, and like talk about your Mega Man and any like Mario, whatever you want to play. There's a lot of them, and you can totally 3Dify the thing. It is a weird thing, and it's not meant really for, you know, playing like your old games you love. It's to give you a new angle on the games that you love. Really cool, really weird little thing. I think it was under $10. And of course, you have to obviously own your game, the game that you're going to emulate in this way. But if you have them and you own them already and you play them in other ways, this might be a very interesting way for you to re-experience some of your favorite games. So there's that. 3D space S.
Do you have any examples of somebody spinning the camera?
Let me see if I can find somebody. Find some images of spinning the camera. I should have recorded some footage myself. That might have helped a little bit. Let me see here. So here's one from YouTube real quick. We can take a look at. So here's one where the character's there, and let me see if I can. Is he gonna spin? There you go. Look. You see?
Oh, yeah.
You can literally move. This is Metroid.
Oh, why does
move it right? And this is all because if you're holding a standard controller, your right thumbstick and your left thumbstick. This is obviously a 2D game, so the left thumbstick and right thumbstick controls this, not the game. So it's the D-pad that actually controls the in-game, and the left and right thumbsticks control the angles with which you see the game. Very weird. It's very weird. I was like, but depending on the game you play with it, it's quite cool. It really is. So yeah, there's that. If you feel like doing it a little this, and the best part about this is it is tweaking and twerking at the lowest level, right? You just put in your game, and then you're playing the game, and you can do all this without it. You don't have to go and tweak anything, edit any code, nothing. You put the game in, you're playing, and then it lets you do these things as well. So that's a quick little recommendation from me. 3D space SEN. So we're gonna get into a couple of news stories before we get out of here. But let me catch up on 2 super chats that we have not read yet. The first one was a great Soil Tech, who was here with a $2 super chat. He's reminding you to do what we always remind you to do, and that is share it out, and please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that like button. We appreciate y'all doing that. Thank you so much. And then, of course, the great MJ Dark with his super chat, which Everborn, I hope you're still here because it's geared towards you, with a $5 super chat. He says, Everborn, show me Sonic numbers. And did Sonic movie beat Mario movie? Sonic is the Temu mascot. Gigasword's the best place to play is Switch. Gajiba.
Okay, so I will say I could show you the mobile numbers, and Sonic has more downloads than Mario. And at the box office, Sonic actually has more at the box office because Sonic has released 3 movies in the time Mario has only released 1. So the numbers are higher, sir. How do you like those apples?
Okay. Let us move on. Couple quick stories we want to talk about, and then we will get out of here. First one I want to discuss, first one I think we should bring up is the article that Jez Corden wrote. I don't know if you read that article. That is Xbox in 2026. There is so much information in there, some of which we've kind of known, yourself and myself. We've heard certain things in the past, but everyone, did you read any of this? Did any of this catch your attention? There's been a lot of talking. A lot of people talked about.
What is this now? What can we get it on the screen? What are we talking about?
Yeah, let me put this on the screen for you. This is by the great Jez Corden, friend of the show. He wrote an article called Xbox in 2026, and he basically just kind of gave you the table of context for 2026 when it relates to Xbox and Microsoft and what their potential plans are.
You mean the things that you and I have been talking about for a long time?
For years now. Yeah.
I am and shout out to Jez because he probably got it from the horse's mouth, and you and I are speculating. But it is nice to see that what we hoped they would do, they're planning on doing. I will say, with all due respect, FSE, right? This is the key to all of this, right? I think FSE is great. I think the task switcher is great. I think the game bar.
Stop doing that. Stop doing that. You saying FSE is great and the task switcher is great, to me is saying ATM machine. FSE is the task switcher.
I got you. Right, but
you're saying machine twice.
The task switcher is great.
Is FSE
right? Task switcher is great. I'll leave out FSE. Right. The task switcher is great. The game bar is great.
Yeah.
The weakest link as it stands right now is the UI of the Xbox app. which is the thing that is supposed to tie all this together. So if we're giving constructive feedback for any of what Jez wrote to work, there needs to be heavy effort put into making the Xbox PC app into something that is more cohesive with the console and even the cloud UI. I think the xCloud UI is good. I think that if they could bring something like that is fast and fluid that way to the Xbox PC app, then we're in business. Now, there's another aspect here, right? If you have a handheld right now, right? Let's say you have a ROG Ally X, right? Or an Xbox ROG Ally. Thank you, Roger Villanova. Appreciate you. But if you have one right now, where do you get your updates? Where do your driver updates come?
Yeah. Depends on the day. Right? Depends on where you're looking.
Now, what I will say is I have noticed they've even been shipping them through Windows Update, but I think that is the wrong approach. If an app can update the drivers on my device and I can update the games on my device from an app, why then not have the Xbox app do that if this is the thing you want people to see? If you want to turn off Windows, I shouldn't have to go to that settings in the gaming mode, right? My driver update should come through the Xbox app. My game updates come through the Xbox
Everyone, app. I don't necessarily disagree with you on that, but they don't need to go that far, right? Because the games that you download still live on Steam, or they still live on Ubisoft, or they still live on EA. But when they tie it together well enough, you don't necessarily even need to see that. Your FSC is still there. It does everything it does in the background, and then it presents you what it presents you on the screen. So similarly with Windows Update, if they choose to continue to keep it in Windows, that's great. Just don't bring up the settings thing and put that in people's face. Just tie it into the Xbox app so that when the settings finishes what it's doing in Windows, it just sends you a notification saying settings done. No need to bring you, the user, into the background to show you what's happening. Just let there be a notification on the Xbox app saying update done, reboot. That's it, right? No need to rejigger where updates go. They can go 15 different places as long as you as the user never see that. All you see is update done. Move on. They can keep the update for Armory Crate in the Armory Crate, the updates for Windows in Windows, as long as you, the user, never get to have to interface with that stuff.
I don't want to get into the weeds on this. That's what we do in the Discord. I will say what you said leaves too many points of failure that I don't like, and so I think you should do it all through.
It's about interacting because what you're describing is really rebuilding the highway.
No weeds. Let's not get into the weeds. We'll save it for the Discord. I'm just saying. All I'm saying.
I disagree. I think
just using the method. Keep it simple, stupid. Do it in one app so you don't have to leave it. That's all I'm saying. Now,
he's asked. Maybe you should read that one.
This slow-mo backslap says, ever taken L Saga lost his first court case yesterday. I would like to say that is in fact a lie. We were in by the way, this is why you should come to the Discord, people. We hold people accountable and we do mock trials in the Discord. You can pick your representation. They can argue on your behalf. People can come in. It is a very fun thing. But
the great Tech is our adjudicator.
Here is rewriting history. What happened yesterday, as a conscientious observer, I requested to come before the court to call out that there was a kangaroo court situation happening, and the judge showed deference and preference
for
the prosecution. I'm sorry, they did. I'm just calling it like I see it. If you want to call that an L, because the judge who was biased didn't agree that he was being biased, you can call it that. But again, these are Discord conversations. So sign up, come to the Discord. Now, please.
If you too feel like Everborn Saga, the Everborn Bloviator, needs to be taken to task, if you have a problem with the Everborn Saga and you feel that you need compensation, join us. Discord.gg/TGCP. Right? We have great lawyers that will defend your interests, and we will take him to task. And maybe you might even win something in court. Join the GCP Discord, ladies and gentlemen. We had so much fun. Oh my God, you have no idea. It was hilarious. But anyway, let us move forward. By the way, I want to like as a side, and I haven't spoken to you about this, Everborn. Like as soon as we were done with that, my brain was like, if there's ever been a use for AI, it would be to visually represent what happened in this thing. I want visually to be represented what happened in this thing, like a mock trial, maybe with cartoon characters. We'll talk about that later. It was hilarious. Anyway, the great Dorian Gray is here. All right. So, do you want to do this?
I'll do it, and then we'll go to you. Do Infinite Umber. The Dorian Gray says Everborn is the kind of MFer. We don't want to curse. It's a Saturday show, people. Who would turn off the low fuel light instead of just getting some damn gas? No, Dorian Gray. Everborn is the kind of MFer who drives an EV. He don't get no damn gas. But keep going.
He's the pinky in the air kind of MF. Anyway, the great Infinite is here with a $10 super chat. He says, ignore Somo slander slap. Wow.
I like that name.
Slander slap.
That is good. It's a playoff band. Okay, anyway, go ahead.
He came here to spread misinformation and lies, and luckily I had Everborn and Nerds as great representation to fight off to win the case. That is also not true, but again, join the Discord. Be part of our court cases, ladies and gentlemen. We are having too much fun on that Discord. Anyway, speaking of that, and it's actually good that y'all mentioned that, because I should mention also, we're also, and I will start this next week, we are also on the hunt to basically define GCP's best games of all time. So there's a part in our Discord where we've started. I've given people some time, some weeks now, where we've thrown a bunch of games, whatever platform it is, PlayStation, Nintendo, Genesis, old school, new school, doesn't matter. You define your favorite games of that platform, and later, which is coming up in a week or so to come, we will all get together and we will literally have a tournament to decide who's the top 10 of every platform, right? So if you care about your baby, first off, maybe join the Discord and add your list to the mix, and then join us for those conversations, because let's just say it's gonna be some stuff. I expect us to.
The Sega Genesis was woefully underrepresented. I will be going in there and updating that one myself soon. But we will,
as you should. I think the first one that we'll start adjudicating will be the NES one, because there's a lot of entries in the NES one. Then we'll move on to the next platform. So ultimately, when this is all said and done, we will have the top 10 of every platform, at least as defined by us, right? And you know, at the end of the day, maybe you think something else should be in the top 10. Join us, make the case. We love to argue. Let's hear your argument for why this game should be top 10. All right. So besides that, we have MJ Dark again joining us with a $5 super chat. He says K Asante goes live on GCP serving papers to magnify. Goes live on GCP serving papers to magnifying boys for game hour fraud versus the president of Nintendo. Lawyer up. When are we gonna have this debate, by the way, sir? When are we gonna have this debate? Because I think that's probably the next one we're gonna do as far as our court case. Is gonna be the people versus it's gonna be Nintendo of America versus the people versus K Asante, clearly, because he's got a problem. But you can be part of that conversation and maybe help me out on the Discord. So join us. Anyway, he also finishes with a $2 super chat saying K equals cap with a capital K, because you know he doesn't know how to spell. Cooking, as in KOOKING, the books, and then Godjima, because he has to call another human being with 10 fingers and 10 toes a god. That's neither here nor there. Anyway, thank you for your patronage, sir. So let's move on. What I want to discuss before we get out of here, we at least have to talk about the developer direct. Rumor and speculation. There's been a lot of tea as it tends to happen during during this time of year when they're close to releasing that video. It looks like, as usual, they have secrets, as they also have secrets every year. So I'm not surprised there. Do you think there'll be shadow drops this year? I don't know about that. It looks like talking about they having a potential 4th game. What do you think?
I think you could have 2 potential like games that are not there, because they've done things like that in the past. In terms of a shadow drop, they've done it multiple times now, and if it is a shadow drop, I think it'll be something small, right? Because like, just let's think of the recent shadow drops they've done, right? Wasn't obviously Ninja Gaiden Black 2 was a shadow drop, right? The Oblivion remake was the worst kept secret in gaming, and it was basically shadow drop. They gave you like a week's notice. Grounded 2 didn't have a lot of runway time, right? That kind of came out of nowhere when they announced it was out. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Yeah, and I see the Black John saying Hi-Fi Rush, but that was 2023. I'm just saying they've done it so much last year. I haven't got any indication from them that they think it's a bad thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was like some small title, whether it's first party or not, that they do this sort of shadow drop thing for. As to what those other games will be, I think I initially said E-Day, but I'm like, that's hopium, because E-Day.
Come on now. This is no way.
No. And that's not because I don't think it's happening this year. That is because something like E-Day deserves its own direct. Right?
Its own direct completely for an hour, just talking only about that game. I don't think they should.
Yeah, and then there's Halo, which we kind of got a big reveal of that, and we know what the campaign is already. So how much could they show? That seems like something you want to tee up closer to the launch. I also think that, we've heard from Jason Schreier and from Insider Gaming sort of conflicting views that GTA 6 is locked and loaded and they're going to hit the date, and then from Bloomberg with Jason Schreier saying, yeah, I don't know about that. So we'll have to see what happens with GTA 6. But if you're planning your fall release schedule, you're kind of going to want to play that close to the vest until you know whether you're going to be in the clear. I will say one thing, and this would be hilarious, and because I'm petty and I like chaos, if GTA 6 gets delayed, and I'm not saying it will, but if it does, they could delay it up until March of 27 because they still be in their fiscal year.
You saw the Schreier article.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But remember, weirdly, right, because there is a sort of Xbox's dead industrial complex, right? Weirdly, they said Xbox is going to be the most negatively affected by GTA, right? Which was wild, right? The IGN said this. So, which is weird because they're like, well, they have the most games coming out, and obviously Halo, Gears, Forza, and Fable will be out right on the day of GTA, so no one will play those games and everyone will play GTA. Like, I'm like, well, are you more affected if you got like 6 or 7 games coming out in a year with a juggernaut like GTA? One. But it's weird how things are pitched that way. Anyway, I don't know, Bub. What do you think? All right, if you don't. Okay, so but the thing is, what would be hilarious is if it does get pushed out to January, February, or March,
making everybody like
all these games come out, and so the one that they said would be the most affected ends up benefiting the most. That would be hilarious.
Just the general the general idea.
And by the way, I should say, if all those games ship, because I know there's somebody in the chat like, oh my God, they don't know how to ship anything. We don't know if E-Day's coming out. We don't know if Halo's coming out until I can download it. Sure. But we know they just shipped 12 games in 2025. Right?
That's
first
it.
part.
That's it.
That's before we get to the deals. So
Yeah.
We'll see what they do in 2026.
Indeed. Nerds and Other Legends says he thinks it's really weird and funny how I'm wearing a t-shirt because it's summer here and you're in Antarctica at the same time.
Listen, man, I am out here fighting for my life to keep the heat in the house at 68 degrees during the day. Yeah, I don't turn it to 72 till we get to nighttime. It's real out here, man. You ain't seen these Con Ed bills.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Lord help us. Also, the Duck of Death asks if anyone's playing Neon Inferno.
I gotta get back to that. It's so good.
I beat Neon Inferno over the holiday break as well. Great game, awesome game.
We gotta reach out and get that guy. That's another guy we interviewed at PAX. We gotta see if we can get him out here.
Indeed, awesome game. It's also another game that's on everything. So if you haven't tried Neon Inferno, definitely do it. If you have a device or a TV or anything with an OLED, that's where you play it because it is like so beautiful with the way that its art style, the way it represents itself. But thank you for checking out the show. Thank you for being here. Let's see. All right, so the question I have to ask you about this direct here, because VGC has now said update. VGC they understand that the fourth title is a smaller scale title from an original Xbox studio. Who do we think we're talking about here? Who do we think this is from them? We know a lot of their studios, right? And they said Xbox. They didn't say Activision, which is also part of the mix, right? Who potentially have we not heard from that has something interesting to show? I will say this.
Okay, go ahead.
Even though they showed up, I still kind of think this is Double Fine. Little teams doing lots of things.
Kiln. We heard about Kiln, right?
They did Keeper. They have so many little teams. I think this is another one of their little projects that they come out with. Even though
if that is the case, I could absolutely see them shadow dropping something like that, something smaller. But I don't listen. This is more hope than speculation. But I would not be surprised if we saw, not with a date, but we got some in-depth from Undead Labs and State of Decay 3 or Clockwork Revolution. I'm not saying those are coming out this year.
No, that's not a small game.
No. I am of the mind that we'll see 2 extra things. I think it'll be 5 games.
Okay. Nice. All right.
Now, again, I am only guessing. I have not heard anything. I'm not saying anybody's wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if there were 2 games that are not listed there, because 3 games is a little weird. I don't think they've ever done just 4 games either. Yeah. Well, I mean, even when they said just 4, it wasn't just 4. But I think I have a feeling we're going to see 5 games there. That's what I'm saying.
So, and it looks like right now, from what they've shown us, they're only having one of their dev teams until that secret project is also added, because this is Playground Games talking about Horizon and Fable. Yeah. And then the next one is Game Freak, which is another weird thing. Game Freak, right? The makers of most of Pokemon games, like Nintendo's back right-hand man. And here they are on the Xbox Direct, showing off a new game. Obviously, this game is going to go everywhere, not even assuming that it's going to just be.
Yeah, but I mean, the last time they did this was Expedition 33, and how did that turn out?
That's my point. They know how to shoot their shots these days, and when they do, it ends up being insanely beneficial for them.
I do want to ask. I want to ask some of the more cynical members in chat, maybe Slow Mo.
Leave that man alone. What's wrong?
Slow-Mo's a cynical guy. I don't think I'm saying anything that anybody doesn't know. He doesn't take anything at face value.
Okay.
I don't want to. None of the. I mean, cynics would say that, but none of the glasses half full guys, right? Okay. We can even look at Lucius Augustus Rex. Would you say?
What do you call him? The disasterist? Go ahead.
No. He's a catastrophizer.
Catastrophizer. Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Everything is like the worst possible interpretation of where things could go. So to guys like Slow-Mo, to guys like Lucius, would you say that Xbox at in terms of spotting sort of new talent and new sort of indie projects, right? Would you say that they've got an eye? So when they're co-signing a game, do you have some trust that they wouldn't co-sign something bad yet? Right? So when we look at them making sure they've got replaced, when we look at them making sure they've got Expedition 33, when we look at them making sure they've got Hollow Knight, Silk Song, are we at the point yet where if they're like putting their marketing behind an unknown project that we feel like it's probably going to be good because they're making a big deal out of it, or not yet? And how much more would you have to see before you could feel that way?
I've made this analogy in the Discord. Back in the 90s, in music, there was the and they still exist, but they used to do a lot more. A&R managers, those who are responsible for going out in the community and finding the next big thing. And with that analogy in mind, I would say the Game Pass A&R managers are batting 1,000 right now. Like, to the point where, like, and they've proven themselves over and over and over again in 2025, right? What is Ball X Pit? Where did that come from? What is a game about digging a hole? You know, nobody would buy.
By the way, I just would like to say every platform has stinkers that they endorse. Like, so for example, hey, we're getting guests.
I'm on the show, sir.
Right?
Out of here. Close my door.
so you know, every platform has like stinkers that we could talk about Code Violet, which PlayStation advertise, right? I'm saying the ones that they really wrap themselves around and present in something like a game showcase right next to Gears of War, like how they did with Expedition 33, or in a developer direct.
Hey, look at the great Dorian Gray. Well, all right. Well, okay, sir. We need to talk. Interesting. All right. Interesting. Cool.
Right.
Yes.
So
those guys who's responsible for bringing the talent in, they are hitting like on all cylinders, to the point now in 2026. If you tell me Game X has come out and they've put it out, I don't need to know what it is. I don't need to know. They put it on their service. I'll try it because they're very good at picking great games now. I'm already convinced. I don't know about y'all, but I'm convinced.
Yeah, I mean, I like, you know, when I look at, and again, I see like PlayStation, I see Dorian Gray, I think he said something about PlayStation knows how to spot a hit. PlayStation knows how to spot a AAA hit these days.
True,
right?
They do. Yeah.
If it's AAA, PlayStation's probably going to know about it first, and if it's available.
Spot the indie gems.
Yes.
No one knows it will be the next big thing. They know how to do that. And they've done that multiple times. Vampire Survivors, the hilarious game with the dude who eventually got kicked out of his studio. I forget the name of the game at this point. Also a short-lived exclusive on Xbox. Every time they wrap their arms around a dev team or a studio or publishing house that's new and you haven't heard of them before, chances are the games they come out with eventually hit the zeitgeist. I think that is credit to the people high on life. Thank you, Big Bambo. Like, I think that's a credit to the people they've put in position to look for those indie games and indie gems in that way. So they need to get credit for that.
So Slow-Mo says, I think they're getting better at pinpointing indie games that have potential from Western studios but haven't improved AAA games or Eastern games yet. Yeah. So the thing about the Eastern game, I mean, I guess they did have the marketing for what's the Atlas RPG that just came out, the fantasy one.
Oh, yeah. The not Persona, right?
No. From the Persona guys. I don't know why I can't think of it. It's like RPG of the year.
Yeah.
I apologize for not knowing, but I don't know that we could even give them that because that was probably part of a broader partnership with Sega. Yes, you said that.
Silly,
but
I know. Because it's
yeah.
meant to be said in a zesty fashion. I'm sorry.
Yes, but again, that was part of a broader Sega marketing thing, so maybe you can't give him that. But yeah, I think Slow-Mo, you might be on the money. If it's a Western game and it's like an indie game and they are really embracing it, I think they've got an eye on that, and they've been securing too many of them to think it's a fluke, to my mind, in the last like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I say all that to say,
Mhm.
I say that to say that we should be looking out for what this Game Freak game is. If they're putting it on Front Street like that, maybe it's a banger.
And another thing that I know you and I don't really potentially care that much, but this is the equivalent of PlayStation putting what do you call it, Housemark on Xbox's developer direct. This is Nintendo's right hand man, responsible for so many of their hits, their exclusive hits, and here they are just hanging out with the Xbox folk. It's kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal. Just saying.
And then she's telling Nintendo, "You don't got to worry about him. We just cousins."
You know, and I see y'all in there. Aaron is like, "Oh yeah, but they suck now." Isn't that how it always happens? They suck now, like because they're on Xbox's stage. They suck now. I'm sorry, that's just a little wild to me.
I don't think that's what he was talking about. I don't think that was.
Okay.
He saw
I hope that's not the
YouTube channel promoting Aniba Village.
I hope that's not the case, because I'd be like, come on. Anyway,
he said, "Yeah."
Slow-Mo put out a super chat. He actually put a comment first. He said, "Phantom Blade Zero is a great example of how PlayStation is quick to jump on a AAA game that will have the juice." You are not wrong. You're not wrong. I played that game multiple times, and I'm telling you, that game, whenever it decides to release, it will be a zeitgeist mover. It's awesome looking. Yes, but let's address his super chat real quick, because I think he just set me up for my next rant. I have been ranting like this for a long time now. Thank you, sir, for bringing this to Front Street, because I've been wanting to talk about stuff like this for quite some time. He asked with a $10 super chat, "What's y'all opinion on Anthem shutting down with no offline mode? Should publishers be allowed to shut down a game and not even allow it to be downloaded before its shutdown date?" Sir, I have been a one-man band talking about our digital rights for a long time. They are a company. They can do whatever the hell they want. But it is incumbent on us, the consumer, to have representation ourselves to force all of these guys to go, look, we know it's an online game, but this game specifically has the ability to do offline and ad hoc connections. Because the consumer has spent their hard-earned dollary dues, you don't have the right to just lock it down and say, peace out, all your money's gone, right? There needs to be some kind of watchdog group in video games that keeps the people's interest at heart. Because if you don't, this is exactly what's gonna happen, right? You could easily figure this out and give it an ad hoc mode, offline mode. And this is not just these guys. This happens all the time, because it's left within the vested interest of the publisher to decide whether it's something they want to do or not. It should not be that way. They should be made. Now, let's be clear. Not every game can do that, right? You can't do that. Let's say a game that's literally
Well, go ahead.
A game that is server backed, that is mainly server backed, right? You logistically can't do that because all of the content is server centralized, right? There's just no way for that to happen. And you're at the end of your life cycle, seemingly, when this stuff becomes important. And more often than not, the development of the whole pipeline of that game has been centralized on the server. So now re-engineering everything to be offline, that is not reasonable, right? True. But not every game hits that barometer. There are some games that are very much offline capable, right? And making that last change from central server to ad hoc is not that much of a lift. But of course, why would you do that? You're at the end of your life cycle. It does not pay to spend extra money on something that's about to be dead, right? But these are the moments when I feel there needs to be some other people or some other body looking out for the interests of the consumer, so that they can be like, hey, EA, we get it. Anthem's got to shut down. We're not saying you can't shut it down, but make sure those who bought their game and are able to continue playing it can continue to play it and continue to retain the value for what they purchased. Go ahead, everyone. You are muted, sir.
My bad. Sorry. I don't know. You always know how I get about these kind of regulations because how you already said there should be some exceptions, right? Right. How do you do that? How do you determine what games are required for what?
There are layers to the onion doesn't mean that you don't peel it. There are layers.
Well, I mean, look. I think the is this something that the market can't solve on its own? Like the next time EA tries to sell you a service type game, maybe you just don't mess with them.
It's been early 2000s. I can give you many handfuls of examples where they could have, because we spend time doing this, so we know instances where it's not possible. But I can tell you many examples where they could have, and because nobody made them or there was no interest for them, they just let it die. And all you hear is people with all their vested interest in money, and this is not a PlayStation problem, not an Xbox problem. It's happened everywhere, right? And all of them, you're just like, hands in the air. Can't do a damn thing about it because you don't have the power and nobody can make them.
No. But you do have the power. You have the power of the purse. Now, Slow-Mo also points out that Knockout City, Redfall, and Suicide Squad all introduced offline modes before shutting down new content on the game. And by the way, a game
that's all based on their own altruism, though.
No, I understand. I understand. I understand. But what I'm saying is, even when we look at Towerborn, a game that I know Slow-Mo tried it, wanted to like it. No, I understand.
By the way, yeah,
I understand. They switched it from an online only free to play game to an offline single player game, which is what I think works better for that.
For them, I think they know that if they do that, it could potentially lift up their
But again, I would trust them when they came out with another game because they did this. EA, if you go and play another service game from EA, that's kind of on you.
Come on.
No. Why can't we operate with any self-control?
I get
right.
That,
don't support people who are raking you over the coals like this. If it was me, I would never play another EA service game.
This is the modus operandi of the gaming industry,
and they move by money.
In order to change this narrative, every single one, well, not everyone, but enough, will have to change their method of operation to hurt the wallet enough to tell EA that it's a problem. That is not a righteous way or a realistic way to move the ball forward at all.
I think it absolutely is. I think these guys move all the time because we don't have no self-control. We don't have any self-control, and we need self-control. Right?
That's ridiculous, sir. That's ridiculous. I think there's a need for a higher body because look, these corporations have a lot of money and a lot of resources, so they can gear themselves ready to screw you.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. What you gonna do when EA releases another service game? You buying it or what?
Play it. I never buy any of their games, but that's neither here nor there.
Cool. So you speaking with your wallet. More people need to do that.
But that doesn't change it necessarily. It doesn't. It'll just remove it from your contention, and then you'll move on. But my point is,
there's a reason.
There could be a way of keeping some kind of guidelines so that when people in general go to buy a game, they have assurances that, hey, I'm buying into this game, and even if it goes away, I will still have some value retained. It's possible. Remember, during the Xbox One gen, when they were talking about TV, they were going to build that. And then people went, no, and they stopped.
Okay.
They were going to build that.
Let me ask you this question. For those games that you feel should be exempt, why?
Because some games are impossible to do that.
But you still spent your money, just like you did on the game that it is possible for.
No, understand. There are certain games that are so server backed because of the engineering of the game that it's impossible to play it offline on your own. That's just is what it is.
So if that's the loophole, and I'm making a game, I'm not making nothing that would fall into the thing. If you don't think they'll do that, you don't think these guys at EI? No, I'm not. I'm telling you what these corporations would do. right?
Well, but
If
that's
there was
not
a law that would require you to keep a game online all the time and you'd have to make it server based, that is the way they will design their games, because they are not going to want to have
well.
that
What I'm saying
liability
is,
if there's a
what
law.
I'm saying is, currently today, there are games that are designed in multiple ways, and they are designed that way for a reason. They don't design that just to get out of the loophole. The games are designed that way because they want to maximize certain gameplay elements. What I'm saying is, having a rule like this won't change that, because the type of games you want to make that will have an offline mode will still be necessary, whether or not there's a regulation in place or not. The only difference is you will know that, oh, this is the barometer why I can't do this, and this is the barometer why I can. If you like in your world, that means the reason why they make ad hoc games would then go away. But what I'm trying to tell you is it's not a choice. Certain games require the way it's the method of implementation, right? They didn't just do that to just do that. They did that as a necessity. So whether or not you have a mandate to keep those games alive in an ad hoc way won't stop them from making the game. It won't. It just means that when you're architecting the game from day one, you may have to keep in mind that, oh, we're going to have to build that ad hoc nature in from day one, so that in case we get to the end of our life cycle, because we're building a live service game, now we can flip that on. That's it, right? That's why all those other have been able to do.
You're kind of glossing over the idea of architecting the game in that way, but that's fine. But again, what my issue is when you create a loophole, because here's the problem. The reason these guys don't want to keep that game on right now is because it would cost them a lot of money in terms of licensing and time, in terms of upkeep, and they don't want to do that anymore. When you now force them to, and by the way, I'm not saying that they shouldn't do what you are saying. I'm saying if there is a law on the books, they are going, and there's a loophole like you described, they will change their design elements and it'll be worse for us. I think the best way to
having
solve
that law
this problem
means there will be never a game that has ad hoc capabilities.
Not ever. Never, and please. So when you do that, right? Say never. That is kind of a straw man that says, well,
no. Forgive me. I guess I'm trying to fundamentally understand what you're saying. You're saying that if there's a law in the or I wouldn't even say it's a law, but just like the ESRB and the rest of this stuff, if there's a regulatory body that gaming agrees to adhere to, what you're saying is that will incentivize them to no longer focus on that type of development in order so that they don't have to adhere to that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because it will cost them a lot of money to do what you're talking about. The people that do it are doing it because they want to keep a relationship with their fans, right? They do these updates that are not required, but they say, hey, listen, this game didn't work out. This game is too low in numbers to maintain, but let me leave you with something. And now when that developer does something else, you say, you know what? They did that one thing that didn't work out, but at least they gave us something to show they respect us.
I agree
EA
with you
does not respect it. So if you want to keep messing with EA, that's fine. I don't think there should be
That's not true, because what Slow-Mo said even include games that EA made that they did include an offline mode. I don't think the reason for, I agree with you that the sentiment of them doing that does work, but I don't think that's the reason why they do that in the first place. They engineered the game a certain way because it needs to fulfill a certain requirement. And at the end, when it's all said and done and they think it through, is the juice worth the squeeze to give them this last update? If it's not financially advantageous, no. If it is, then why not? Right? That has been the move for this forever. What I'm saying is, if there's a push industry-wide to say that this should exist as a fundamental requirement, then those ideas.
But it's not fundamental if it has these loopholes, right? Like if you're saying,
it's not a loophole. It's not a loophole. It's a requirement.
You have an online game. The game is going offline, and you have to make sure people can still play this thing after you're no longer supporting it, right? That's effectively what you're saying. It should be a law that you have to do that.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
this law doesn't.
You will not answer any of these questions here. This, again, is a Discord conversation.
You know what? You're right. I might have to bring you up on charges on this, sir.
We're gonna be talking about this
We may
because
have to go to court about this.
and Slow Mo, you and we need to talk because I have been
And I want to make it very clear. This is not, I'm not saying this in any support of these corporations. I'm literally saying stop buying games from them. I don't care about these corporations. I don't care about their problems. What I am saying is I don't think a law is the right way to solve the same problem that we both agree is a problem.
Yeah. So Briscoe Kid is asking, I bought Anthem a while ago, so will I ever be able to play it? The problem here is no. But if you were to buy, you bought like what's the bite back one, the one that the Xbox really like screwed the pooch on. That game that you can play because before they closed they shut the servers down, they allowed the offline mode, right? Anthem, you could have done similarly. It just seems like they possibly engineered it incorrectly. Redfall, thank you. It seems like Anthem was engineered incorrectly, and in hindsight, remember we have heard so much about. It took them 6 months, just 6 months, to show you what to show us what we saw, right? So the idea that they had all the logistics worked in the background in order to facilitate this for us, it makes sense that they didn't do that, right? I get that, but they should have. And because of that, because their first decision that they made did not include any of that, now towards the life cycle and now they're at their end, as much as you bought in, it's all gone now. And you have no recourse.
And you should never support them again. Right. You should never support them again. If they took your money like that, do not support them again. Aaron PRND, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but he says trying to get devs. Okay.
Apologies. Lucius posted a question about the Bite Back edition. Yes, they did. They have done that. I'm sorry. Go back.
I gotta find that. Try it again. Okay. Trying to get devs to change after you buy a game is like telling a promiscuous woman to be faithful after you marry her. That works two ways, people. Same thing with a woman marrying a man or whatever. Men do it too. But yeah,
man makes a point.
Hoes are gonna hoe. Whatever the gender is.
But that is the reason why it should be. It's like saying we'll make sure that game devs keep the content maturity, righteous, even though there's no framework for it. There was a reason for it. And yes, I know as soon as I bring it up, you'll say they're a corrupt organization as well, and you are right. But as much of a corrupt organization as they are, the MSR, the ESRB, and the need of certain content classifications, that really was a benefit to gaming in general. It just was, to the point where you developer don't develop just making whatever the hell you want. You develop knowing that, okay, I have to fit within this framework. Otherwise, kids ain't going to play it, or adults are going to have to be mindful letting their children play it. All that stuff matters, right?
How about?
I wouldn't say that coming out changed the way gamers, developers created their games forever, but it gave them guidelines as to hitting the right demographics. That's all the kind of idea I'm thinking about here as well, right?
You're thinking about a law and a regulation. I'm thinking about an idea.
I think there's a need for it. And until it happens, you will see this stuff happen over and over again when you, the consumer, don't have the power that you should.
And you do have the power. You actually have all the power because it's up to you whether you get these games.
Yeah. So you have to decide whether you want to buy this game that then 4 or 5 years later they will either screw you or not screw you. How are you?
No. You listen again. If you bought Anthem and you into Anthem and you bought the microtransactions and they just shut it down like that, the next time they make a game, you know what to do. You are in control of the money that you worked for. You're in control of the money that you spend. You don't have to buy their games. There's enough games. There's enough other games. There's enough trusted people that when they shut stuff down, they didn't leave people high and dry like that. It is up to you if you are going to go support them after the fact. And fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, I guess shame on the government. I don't know.
At the end of the day, let's make sure we fleece people enough. And if we don't do it enough, they'll come back. If we do it enough, they won't come back. But at the end of the day, those who are fleeced
customers right, and they should come back to you. But again, in the gaming aspect, we have no self-control. We're just gonna buy anything they throw at us, no matter what we do. And because we don't have any self-control, we need some kind of law in place.
So, and then Slow-Mo says, so people who bought Bleeding Edge should not buy another Ninja Theory game
if they feel left behind. Yeah, absolutely.
But you
That's
see
the way
how
you feel. Why not?
It's not really.
It is. Do you trust the developer or not? They left you high and dry. Do you still trust them? And by the way, a lot of people didn't buy Ninja Theory's next games. I'll just point that out. They're not like million sellers. It shouldn't
be about trust. Trust should not be the only lever here. There need to be other levers that are more tangible than, oh well, now I don't trust them anymore, and that's it. That's all I can do.
I'm not.
And then the string of you that they've done, they get to get away with it because there's just nothing else for them.
I am not asking for clairvoyance. The man Steve-O. I'm asking for you to have a memory. Remember who you are. Remember what they did to you, and then move forward accordingly. It's your money.
Yes.
You worked for it.
True.
You don't have to buy everything they put in front of you.
See, but
I know we live in I know this is a consumerist society. That's the religion that we all pray to, but you do not have to.
Look, I think the difference between you and others in this instance is when you spent your money,
I won't buy the next EA service game. I bet that.
When you spent your money, right, and you've decided that was not money well spent, that's water under the bridge for you. You move on. Oh, I've made my decision. Some people spend far longer deliberating whether they should spend that money because that money is not as easily come by some than others. So when their decision that they spent is not ends up being a bad decision, it's not one of those, oh well, next time I ain't doing it no more. They are completely screwed. That $60 was very important to them, right? It's different for different people.
So if money is hard to come by, and that
why are you playing games
you spent really hurt. No. That's not what I'm saying. Not at all.
Okay.
I'm saying if money's hard to come by, and that $60 that they fleeced you out of really hurt you, that same person that fleeced you, when they come to try to sell you something else, you're gonna give them another $60. That's what you're gonna do. You sold me a lemon. I went to the used car dealership. You sold me a lemon. It didn't work out. The transmission was messed up. Everything was messed up. I had to go get rid of it. Now you're selling me another car, and I'm gonna come back to the same salesman that sold me a lemon.
So Everborn, you know you done messed up, right? Because you even gave me my talking points against you. There's such things called lemon laws. You even gave it to me just now. That's why they exist. Because they don't expect you to define a lemon. There's a guiding principle that defines lemons for you. That's all we're asking for.
However, we have all been to shady car salesmen. Do you go back to them?
But there's still a law that governs them and stops them from being that way. Instead of going, oh well, we know that Bob is a bad one, so we'll stay away from him.
Yeah, but again, is Anthem a lemon? Or did the warranty run out?
In many respects, no, I would say it was somewhat of a lemon. It was somewhat of a lemon.
Cool. I mean, it's been out for many years. It's been out for a decade. Listen, last I know, cars give you a 10-year, $100,000 warranty. After that, you're on your own, partner.
You're on your own. All right. Let's catch up on a couple of last super chats, and then we'll get out of here, okay? Because we start 2026 with a bang. Join us in the Discord. These are the conversations that we have. These are the debates that we continue to have. And we will have them with you. So join us. The great 108 Dragons TV joins us with a $2 super chat. And he says, good morning, gents. Happy New Year to you, good sir. I hope you're doing well. I'm sure we're going to connect in 2026.
Yeah. Shout out to Lemon. Listen, Kay, I want to give credit where credit is due. That lemon law thing was a good call out. It was good. I'm thinking about it. It was good.
Yourself.
I don't think you won the argument, but you got me in that one. You did get me there.
He's like, they're lemons. Yeah, there's a law.
That was good. That was a good one. That was a good one. Keep going, though.
The great Hollywood rules. Member for 10 months. He says, sorry I'm late to the party, my brothers. Happy New Year. Miss my guys. Wish you both health and more success going forward. Salute to you, good sir. Shout out to the great Hollywood rules, man. But all right. I think we're close to we're at the end of it right now, right? We're at the end of it. There's so much more that we could discuss. There's a lot of crazy stuff that's been coming down the pipe from CES. A lot of cool hardware, this, that, and the third. But I think 2.5 is about good, unless you have anything you want to bring up that we have not so far.
No, I got people to do and things to see.
Okay, on that point, so you'll notice that over the holiday break, I started putting a few little short things out. I'm just kind of testing the waters, seeing how I feel about it.
Hey, can you show us on camera the MCon that I didn't get yet?
Ladies and gentlemen,
day one, don't even have a shipping notification.
MCon controller. Here it is. Here's my Android, my iPhone, because it doesn't work as great on Android because of the.
But they have a sticky thing that you could use, right?
They do, but the sticky thing is not.
Put it on the back of your phone.
No, okay. I did put it on the back of my phone, and then I did this after 2 hours, and then I did that, and then the sticky thing was there, not on my phone.
That's
what I'm saying. But of course, if you have an iPhone, it already has one. If you have an Android phone,
of the newer Android, they have MagSafe now, right?
Or you can get a case that'll do it.
Yeah.
Once you connect it, bam! Oh my bad, this way. So basically, up. And you can play it just like that. Very cool. You know, it's not the oh my god, this is how I'm going to game from now on thing. But you have 5 minutes. You need to game offline real quick. You want to do something. It's got cool little grips, almost grip that work really well. Really interesting. So no, I think the MCon is pretty cool and pretty useful. I did a little video on it. People seem to have liked it.
How would you compare it to the Backbone? Because it seems like the Backbone was the standard, like for the mobile controllers.
Yeah.
Is this coming for the Backbone's neck?
This is far more pocketable. Far more.
I agree.
Right? Far more pocketable, but it's also not as ergonomically sound. It's good, but it's not as good as the Backbone, right? It is the best they could do with the limited space that they wanted to keep, right? So this can literally just go boom in the back. It doesn't. You don't even think about it. But what that also means is the Backbone feels better in your hand. It just does because it's got more grip. What they did though, I do appreciate the innovation that they did with these though, because this kind of gives you somewhat of a grip thing, somewhat, and it really works that way. Cool.
And the Backbone, the Backbone is actually like, it's hardwired. It's like USB-C or whatever. This is Bluetooth connected.
This is Bluetooth connected. Indeed.
That's
So
depending on the game you play, that might be a drawback.
Yeah, that's another factor that you need to keep an eye on. Yeah. But yeah, so we played a lot of games over the holiday break. A lot of cool, interesting hardware that we've been talking about as well. I want people to, let us know what they think about the content for 2026. I warn you now before we get out of here, we will be trying to get to them shows. We'll be trying to get to all those things you expect from us. We'll try to do the PAX thing. We'll try to do all that. But we will need some assistance because this year I want Everborn Saga in tow when we do this. And we can't do all of this as we have been doing it on our own dime. So we'll get there. You'll hear from us. But just so you know, we're trying to push further and trying to do more, and as such, you're gonna hear from us in that way as well. As new, cool, interesting tech things come out, I'll be putting out videos. I'm gonna spend 2026 making a lot more tutorial videos and the like. I've been hearing from folks who have Legion Go devices and new devices, old devices, and they want to get the most out of them. Really cool tools out there now, front ends and the like. We'll be spending a lot more time actually talking about it. This is another piece of tech that I got into as part of 2025 that I have not actually done a video on it yet. I might do something major. This is the Aya Neo Air Pocket Mini. Literally a small device, as small as a cell phone. Like, it's not too big. It can literally fit in your pocket. It costs less than $100. I think it cost me $80. And this thing is what I've been playing so many games on. And by the way, Android based, so you're even able to stream, you're able to do xCloud, everything. But beyond that, PlayStation 2, you're doing GameCube, you're doing all these other stuff locally. Really, really cool, interesting thing. And it's $80, the lowest of the low I've ever seen. So my next video is probably gonna be on this one. But just letting y'all know, there's just a lot to be talked about here in gaming in 2026, and we're gonna try and push to make that happen. But yeah, that's it, man. Everborn Saga. How about you? Where will the Everborn Saga be seen and or heard from in 2026? Are we expecting new Kickstarter campaigns? What's good?
I am planning 3 Kickstarter campaigns for this year. We have 3 books that are in production literally as we speak. One of them is almost done. One of them's 2/3 done, and the other we're about halfway through. So that'll kind of tell you where we are. So I think the first one will be in around March or April. The next one will be at the end of the summer, and the final one will be towards the end of the year, maybe sooner. We'll see. We'll see how the production goes, but we're trying to line it up with the shows that are coming around throughout the year. We're obviously going to do Anime NYC again, New York Comic Con again, and some of the other shows. So we will be around, and other than that, you'll find me in the Discord.
Excellent.
And if you guys want to send me out to these shows with K Asante,
let's go. We're gonna work on it this year, man. We're gonna work on it. Last thing before we go again, Alex F10, the great Soltech, the great BT Maverick, and the great legendary Yobi. All of you have won codes for Gigasword, gentlemen. Reach out to me. Choose your platform. It's on everything. So whichever platform you choose, we will get you that code. Shout out to y'all and everyone who's part of the show today. Shout out to the great Jack Breen who jumped on to give us his takes and how he put together that amazing game. We are going to definitely want to have him back and talk about it again. Thank y'all for being here. I think that's it for us, man. Unless there's anything else, I think we might as well call it. That's it. Oh, before I even did that,
Victor
Alistein's out here. Hasn't seen that Victor in a minute. I hope you're doing well, Victor. He's here with a final super chat. He says, do you guys think the handheld could lead to a revived Windows phone, especially if the handhelds come with phone features? Ooh.
In a word, no. Windows phone's never coming back.
I will argue and say you are wrong, sir. Unless Windows phone has to have its own operating system. I think you see a Windows phone running Android.
No.
Microsoft Xbox phone.
No, you wouldn't, because they tried it with the Surface phone, the Surface Duo. They tried that twice. It didn't work.
Gaming focus?
I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
I'm just saying. I was playing Gigasword on my Android device and it wasn't built.
I hear you. It ain't gonna happen. Now, a phone with Windows on it is something that I think could be a potential thing that they do. But Floodzilla, the Surface Duo bombed, and the Surface Duo 2 bombed even harder. So no,
none of those were game focused though. I'm thinking more about the idea.
I don't think gaming is enough to save it. Nobody buys a phone just for gaming. Not one. In all these phone makers, nobody buys it just for that.
Okay. So I see what you're saying. I agree with you. I would say the only way I see it happening is in this kind of format. I call it a phone, but it's not a phone. It doesn't do anything phone. All it does is play games. I can see that.
Yeah, I think they're done doing these Android fork type of things. So if they do anything, it will. Now listen, what you could see is and you will see a handheld that's running on ARM, but there will not be. Microsoft is not making a gaming centric phone.
Not a phone.
I don't.
No. What I mean,
he just said Windows phone. Like that's the. I'm saying no, they're not gonna do that.
Yeah, what I mean by that is they will use phone. It's a phone and everything but name, and put gaming on it. That I can see happen. But like a phone, here's our phone. Yeah, I agree with you. They're not making a phone. Yeah, they've tried it already. Yeah, but they're basically using phone parts and making it a game handheld and saying here you go. In the background, it's a phone. Like this right here is an Android phone. It just has no phone capabilities. And in that world, I see some company working with them to create a device that lets you play games locally and streaming on Android using a phone, using phone parts.
Yeah. I still don't see that. But
interesting year to come. But I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to all the great folks who joined us. We're seeing lots Lots of tension still in our chat, still going. But that's it for us. We gotta go back and continue adulting. We'll be back next week. Between now and next week, I think you might see some more content from me. I'm deciding on what I might put out there. But thank y'all so much for being here. On your way out, why don't you hit that like button? Maybe share it with someone. Let them know that we're here. And
wait a minute. Wait. Alex and Soil Tech, I think they already have the game.
Oh,
so maybe if they do,
well, if
we
that's
might have
the case,
to choose 2 other winners.
If that's the case, join the Discord. There will be 2 game codes dropped in the Discord at some point. We will do something fun and make it a Discord thing. But yeah, join us on the Discord. We'll take those 2 codes and add it to the pot somewhere else. All right. But all right.
Did we give one to Eastside Vandal?
I mean, why not? We can give one to Eastside Vandal.
He's the one who let me know. I think we give it to we give one of them to Eastside Vandal.
Absolutely. You good. Eastside, you got it. It's all yours. I told him to hit me up in the DM, so it's good. Anyway. All right, man. So I think that's it, man. We are out. We'll see y'all next week. And until then, keep it gaming. Peace.
Thanks for being on it.